The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. Translated using artificial intelligence into a modern text. Chapter 11. It was scorching in the square when we came out after lunch with our bags and the rod case, heading for Burguete. People were already sitting on the roof of the bus, and more were climbing up a ladder. Bill went up first. Robert sat next to him to hold me a spot, and I ran back into the hotel to grab a couple bottles of wine for the ride. When I came back out, the bus was packed. Men and women sat on top of luggage and crates, and the women fanned themselves in the sun. It was brutally hot. Robert climbed down, and I squeezed into the seat he'd saved, one long wooden bench across the top. Robert Cohn stood under the arcade in the shade, waiting for us to pull out. A Basque with a big leather wineskin sprawled across the roof in front of us, leaning back against our legs. He offered the wineskin to Bill and me. When I tipped it up to drink, he suddenly nailed the sound of a klaxon horn so perfectly that I jerked and spilled wine. Everyone laughed. He apologized and made me take another pull. A little later, he did the klaxon again and got me a second time. He was a master at it. The Basques loved it. The man beside Bill tried talking to him in Spanish. Bill wasn't catching much, so he offered him one of our bottles. The man waved it off, said it was too hot, and he'd already had too much at lunch. When Bill offered again, the man took a long drink, and then the bottle made the rounds on that section of the roof. Everyone took a sip politely, then insisted we cork it and put it away. They wanted us drinking from their leather wineskins instead. They were peasants heading up into the hills. After a couple more fake klaxons, the bus finally started. Robert Cohn waved goodbye to us, and all the Basques waved goodbye to him. The moment we got outside town, the air turned cool. Up high on the roof, tucked under the trees, it felt great. The bus moved fast and made its own breeze. As we rolled out, dust puffed up and powdered the trees, and going downhill, we got a great view back through the branches. Pamplona perched on its bluff above the river. The Basque stretched against my knees, pointed out the view with the neck of his wineskin, and winked. He nodded like, "Not bad, right?" "These Basques are terrific people," Bill said. The Basque leaning on my legs was tanned like old leather, wearing the same black smock as the rest. Deep wrinkles ran across his neck. He twisted around and offered Bill the wineskin again. Bill handed him one of our bottles. The Basque wagged his finger, pushed the bottle back, and smacked the cork in with his palm. Then he shoved the wineskin up. "Arriba, arriba," he said. "Higher." Bill lifted the wineskin and let the wine shoot into his mouth, head tipped back. When he lowered it, a few drops ran down his chin. "No, no," several Basques shouted. "Not like that." One of them grabbed the wineskin from its owner, who was about to demonstrate himself. The drinker was a young guy. He held the wineskin at full arm's length, raised it high, squeezed the leather so the stream hissed into his mouth, and swallowed smoothly, steady as a machine. The wine arced in a flat, hard line right into his mouth. "Hey," the owner shouted, "whose wine is that?" The kid wagged his little finger, smiled at us with his eyes, snapped the stream off clean, gave the bag a quick lift, and handed it back. He winked. The owner shook his head like his life was a tragedy. We rolled through a town and stopped in front of a posada while the driver loaded some packages. Then we started again, and once we were out, the road began to climb. We moved through farm country, rocky hills sloping down into fields. Grain ran up the hillsides. Higher up, wind rippled through it. The road was white with dust. The dust rose under the wheels and hung behind us. We climbed into the hills and left the rich fields down below. Now there were only scraps of grain on the bare slopes and along the stream beds. We swerved hard to the side to let a long line of 6 mules pass, one after another, hauling a high-covered wagon loaded with freight. Everything, the wagon, the mules, was coated in dust. Right behind came another mule team and another wagon, this one stacked with lumber. The arriero leaned back and threw on the thick wooden brakes as we slipped past. Up here the land was stripped and harsh, rock and baked clay cut with rain grooves. We rounded a bend into a town, and suddenly a green valley opened up on both sides. A stream ran through the middle. Vineyard rows pressed right up to the houses. The bus stopped at a posada, and a lot of passengers climbed down. Bags and bundles were unstrapped from under the big tarps and lowered from the roof. Bill and I climbed down and went inside. It was a low, dark room, cool and shadowy, with saddles and harness, pale wooden pitchforks, clusters of canvas rope-soled shoes, and hams, slabs of bacon, white garlic, and long sausages hanging from the ceiling. We stood at a long wooden counter where 2 women served drinks. Behind them, shelves were stacked with supplies and goods. We each had an aguardiente and paid 40 centimes for both. I gave the woman 50, trying to leave a tip, and she handed the extra coin back, thinking I'd misunderstood the price. 2 of our Basques came in and insisted on buying us a drink, so they bought one. Then we bought one. Then they slapped us on the back and bought another. Then we bought. Then we all went back out into the sunlight and heat and climbed up on the roof again. Now there was room for everyone to sit on the bench, and the wine-skinned Basque sat between Bill and me. The woman from the counter came out wiping her hands on her apron and called something to someone inside the bus. Then the driver came out, swinging 2 flat leather mail pouches, climbed up, and with everyone waving, we took off again. We left the green valley immediately and were back in the hills. Bill and the wine-skinned Basque were talking away. A man leaned over from the other side and asked in English, "You Americans?" "Yep." "I've been there," he said, 40 years ago. He was old, as brown as the rest, with white beard stubble. "How was it?" I asked. "What you say?" "How was America?" "Oh, I was in California. It was fine." "Why'd you leave?" "What you say?" "Why'd you come back here?" "Oh," he said, "I come back to get married. I was going to go back, but my wife, she don't like to travel." "Where are you from?" "Kansas City." "I've been there," he said. "I've been in Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Denver, Los Angeles, Salt Lake City." He named them carefully, like ticking off medals. "How long were you over?" 15 years. Then I come back and got married." "Want a drink?" "All right," he said. "You can't get this in America, eh?" "There's plenty if you can pay for it." "What you come over here for?" "We're going to the fiesta at Pamplona." "You like the bullfights?" "Sure, don't you?" "Yes," he said. "I guess I like them." After a moment he asked, "Where you go now?" "Up to Burguete to fish." "Well," he said, "I hope you catch something." He shook hands and turned back to the rear seat. The other Basques seemed impressed. He settled in, and when I turned to look at the landscape, he smiled at me. But talking American had worn him out. He didn't say another word. The bus kept grinding uphill. The land was barren. Rock broke through the clay, and there was no grass by the road. Looking back, the country spread out below us, fields in green and brown squares on the slopes. Brown mountains made the horizon, oddly shaped. As we climbed, the skyline kept changing, and more mountains rose into view in the south. Then the road crested and flattened, and we entered a forest, cork oaks, with sunlight falling in patches. Cattle grazed deeper among the trees. We rolled through, came out onto a ridge, and ahead of us stretched a rolling green plain with dark mountains beyond. These weren't the baked brown mountains we'd left. They were wooded, with clouds spilling down their sides. The plain ran out in front of us, cut by fences. The white road showed between the trunks of a double line of trees crossing the plain northward. As we reached the edge of the ridge, we saw Burguete ahead, white houses and red roofs strung along the road. Far off, on the shoulder of the first dark mountain, was the gray metal-sheathed roof of the monastery at Roncesvalles. "There's Roncesvalles," I said. "Where?" Bill asked. "Way out there, where the mountain begins." "It's cold up here," Bill said. "It's high," I said. "Must be 1,200 meters." "It's really cold," Bill said. The bus leveled onto the straight road into Burguete. We passed a crossroads, crossed a bridge over a stream, and entered the village. The houses lined both sides, no side streets. We passed the church and the schoolyard, and the bus stopped. We climbed down. The driver handed down our bags and rod case. A carabinier in a cocked hat and yellow leather straps walked up. "What's in there?" he asked, pointing at the rod case. I opened it and showed him. He asked for our fishing permits. I handed them over. He checked the date and waved us on. "Is it all right?" I asked. "Of course," he said. We walked up the road past the whitewashed stone houses, families sitting in doorways watching us, until we reached the inn. A heavy-set woman who ran the place came out from the kitchen and shook hands. She took off her glasses, wiped them, and put them back on. Inside it was cold, and outside the wind was picking up. She sent a girl upstairs to show us the room. 2 beds, a washstand, a clothes chest, and a big framed steel engraving of Nuestra Senora de Roncesvalles. Wind rattled the shutters. Our room faced north. We washed up, pulled on sweaters, and went downstairs to the dining room. Stone floor, low ceiling, oak-paneled walls. The shutters were up, and it was so cold you could see your breath. "My God," Bill said, "it can't be this cold tomorrow. I'm not wading a stream in weather like this." There was an upright piano in the corner beyond the wooden tables. Bill went over and started playing. "I've got to stay warm," he said. I went out to find the woman and asked the rate for room and board. She tucked her hands under her apron and looked away. 12 pesetas. "We paid that in Pamplona," I said. She didn't answer, just took off her glasses and wiped them on her apron. "That's too much," I said. "We didn't pay more than that at a big hotel." "We installed a bathroom," she said. "Don't you have anything cheaper?" "Not in summer. This is peak season." We were the only people in the inn. Fine, I thought. It's only a few days. "Does that include wine?" "Oh, yes." "Then all right," I said. I went back to Bill. He blew his breath at me to show how cold it was and kept playing. I sat at a table and studied the pictures on the wall. One panel of dead rabbits, one of dead pheasants, one of dead ducks, darkened and smoky with age. There was a cupboard full of liqueur bottles. I inspected them all. Bill was still playing. "How about a hot rum punch?" he said. "This cold's not going to be a temporary thing." I went out and explained what a rum punch was and how to make it. A few minutes later, the girl brought in a steaming stone pitcher. Bill left the piano, and we drank the punch and listened to the wind. "Not much rum in this," Bill said. I went to the cupboard, grabbed the rum bottle, and poured half a tumbler into the pitcher. "Direct action," Bill said. "Beats legislation." The girl came in and set the table for supper. "It blows like hell up here," Bill said. She brought a big bowl of hot vegetable soup and the wine. Afterward, we had fried trout, then some kind of stew, and then a huge bowl of wild strawberries. We didn't lose money on the wine, and the girl was shy but kind about bringing it. The old woman came in once and counted the empty bottles. After supper, we went upstairs, smoked, and read in bed to stay warm. I woke once during the night and heard the wind. It felt good to be warm and in bed. Chapter 12. That morning was bright, and city workers were spraying down the streets. We all ate breakfast at a café. León is a nice town, like a very clean Spanish town set on a wide river. Even that early, the bridge over the river was already baking hot. We walked out onto it, then wandered through town. I wasn't convinced Mike's rods would make it from Scotland in time, so we went looking for a tackle shop. Eventually, we found one upstairs above a dry goods store. The man who sold the gear was out, so we had to wait for him to come back. When he finally returned, we bought Bill a decent rod for cheap and 2 landing nets. Back outside, we went to see the cathedral. Cohn made some comment about it being a good example of whatever. Honestly, I forget what. It felt like a good cathedral, dim, cool, and quiet, the way Spanish churches are. Then we walked past the old fort and out to the local tourist office where the bus was supposed to leave from. They told us the bus service didn't start until July 1st. So we asked what a car to Pamplona should cost and hired one at a large garage around the corner from the municipal theater. 400 francs. The driver would pick us up at the hotel in 40 minutes, so we went back to the café on the square and had a beer. It was hot, but the town still smelled cool and fresh, like early morning. A breeze came up, and you could tell it was blowing in from the sea. Pigeons moved around the square. The buildings were yellow and sun-baked. I didn't want to leave that café. But we had to go back, pack, and settle the bill. We paid for the beers, we matched, and I think Cohn paid, and went up to the hotel. Bill and I paid 16 francs each, plus 10% for service. We had the bag sent down and waited for Cohn. While we waited, I saw a cockroach on the parquet floor that had to be 3 inches long. I showed Bill, then crushed it with my shoe. We decided it must have wandered in from the garden. The hotel was otherwise extremely clean. Cohn finally came down, and we went out to the car. It was a big, closed car. The driver wore a white duster with blue collar and cuffs. We had him drop the back, he stacked the bags in, and we drove off, up the street, out of town. We passed some beautiful gardens and got a good last look back at Bayonne. Then we were in rolling green country, climbing steadily. We passed plenty of Basques hauling carts with oxen or cattle, and neat farmhouses with low roofs, all whitewashed. In the Basque Country, everything looks rich and green, and the villages look clean and well off. Every village had a pelota court. On some of them, kids were playing in the hard sun. There were signs on church walls saying you couldn't play pelota against them. The village houses had red-tiled roofs. Then the road turned off and started climbing hard, running high along a hillside with a valley below and hills stretching back toward the sea. You couldn't actually see the sea, it was too far, but you knew exactly where it was. We crossed into Spain at a little stream and bridge. On one side were Spanish guards in shiny patent leather Bonaparte-style hats with short guns slung on their backs. On the other side were stout French officials in kepis with mustaches. They opened one bag, took our passports inside, and checked them. There was a general store and an inn on each side of the border. The driver had to fill out paperwork for the car, so we got out and went over to the stream to see if there were trout. Bill tried some Spanish with one of the guards. It didn't go great. Cohn pointed and asked if there were trout. The guard said yes, but not many. I asked the guard if he fished. He said no, he didn't care for it. Then an old man came striding up to the bridge, long sunburned hair and beard, clothes that looked like burlap. He carried a long staff and had a kid goat slung across his back, tied by all four legs, its head hanging down. The guard waved him back with his sword. The man turned without a word and started back up the white road into Spain. "What's his problem?" I asked. "No passport," the guard said. I offered him a cigarette. He took it and thanked me. "What'll the old man do?" I asked. The guard spat into the dust. "He'll just wade across the stream." "Much smuggling?" I asked. He shrugged. "Oh, they get through." The driver came out, folded his papers, and tucked them inside his coat. We got back in and headed up the white, dusty road into Spain. For a while, the landscape looked similar. Then, still climbing, we crossed the top of a pass, the road switchbacking, and suddenly it felt like Spain. Long brown mountains, a few pines, and distant beech forests clinging to the slopes. Along the ridge, the driver had to honk and slow down to avoid two donkeys asleep in the road. We descended out of the mountains through an oak forest where white cattle grazed in the shade. Below were grassy flats and clear streams. We crossed one stream, passed through a dark little village, and climbed again up and up to another high pass. From there we saw a completely different range of mountains to the south, brown, baked, and carved into strange shapes. Eventually we came out into gentler country, trees lining the road, a stream, ripe grain fields. The road ran straight and white, then rose slightly. Off to the left was a hill with an old castle, buildings clustered around it, and grain growing right up to the walls, shifting in the wind. I was riding up front with the driver. I turned around. Cohn was asleep, but Bill looked and nodded. Then we crossed a broad plain. A big river shone off to the right through a line of trees. Far ahead, the Pamplona plateau rose out of the flatland, its city walls, the great brown cathedral, and the broken skyline of other churches. Behind it were mountains, and wherever you looked, there were more mountains. Ahead, the white road ran straight across the plain toward Pamplona. We entered the town on the far side of the plateau, climbing steeply in dust and heat beneath shade trees. Then the road leveled through the newer part of town outside the old walls. We passed the bull ring, high, white, and glaring in the sun, then came into the big square by a side street and stopped in front of the Hotel Montoya. The driver helped unload our bags. A crowd of kids gathered to watch. The square was hot. The trees were green. The flags drooped on their poles. It felt good to get out of the sun under the shade of the arcades that run around the square. Montoya was happy to see us, shook hands, and gave us good rooms looking out onto the plaza. We washed up, cleaned up, and went downstairs for lunch. The driver ate too. Afterward, we paid him, and he drove back to Bayonne. The Montoya has 2 dining rooms, one upstairs on the 2nd floor overlooking the square, and another one level down, cooler, with a door opening to the back street where the bulls run through early in the morning on their way to the ring. The downstairs dining room is always cool, and we ate very well. A first meal in Spain always hits you hard. Hors d'oeuvres, eggs, 2 meat courses, vegetables, salad, dessert, and fruit. You have to drink plenty of wine just to keep up. Cohn tried to refuse the 2nd meat course, but we wouldn't translate it for him. So the waitress brought him something else instead. Cold meats, I think. He'd been nervous ever since Bayonne. He didn't know whether Bill and I knew about San Sebastian with Brett, and it made him stiff and awkward. "Well," I said, "Brett and Mike should get in tonight." "I'm not sure they'll come," Cohn said. "Why wouldn't they?" Bill said. "Of course they'll come." "They're always late," I said. "I actually think they're not coming," Cohn said. He said it like he knew something we didn't, and it annoyed both of us. "I'll bet you 50 pesetas they're here tonight," Bill said. When he gets irritated, he bets, usually stupidly. "I'll take it," Cohn said. "Good. Remember it, Jake. 50 pesetas. "I'll remember it myself," Bill said. "That's enough," I said, "or you'll have to write a book and give me a cut." "I'm satisfied," Cohn said, smiling. "You'll probably win it back at bridge anyway." "You don't have it yet," Bill said. We went out under the arcades toward the Café Iruña for coffee. Cohn said he was going to get a shave. Bill said to me, "Do I have any chance on that bet?" "A terrible chance," I said. "They're never on time anywhere. If their money doesn't show up, they definitely won't arrive tonight." "I regretted it as soon as I said it," Bill said, "but I had to call him out. He's okay, I guess, but where does he get this inside certainty? Mike and Brett already arranged coming down with us." I saw Cohn crossing the square. "Here he comes." Bill said, "Fine, just don't let him get superior and Jewish." "The barber shop's closed," Cohn said. "Doesn't open until 4. We had coffee at the Iruña, sitting in wicker chairs, cool under the arcade, looking out at the bright square. After a while, Bill went to write letters, and Cohn went back to the barber shop. It was still closed, so he decided to go bathe at the hotel. I sat outside the cafe for a bit, then walked through town. It was very hot, but I stayed in the shade. I went through the market and enjoyed seeing Pamplona again. I went to the Ayuntamiento and found the old man who renews my bullfight subscriptions every year. He'd received the money I sent from Paris and renewed everything, so that was handled. He was the archivist, and all the town archives were in his office, which has nothing to do with anything, but that's where they were. His office had a green baize door and a heavy wooden door. When I left, I shut both behind me. Outside, the porter stopped me to brush off my coat. "You must have been in a motor car," he said. The back of my collar and the tops of my shoulders were gray with dust. "From Bayonne," I said. "Well, well," he said. "I could tell from the dust." I gave him 2 coppers. At the end of the street I could see the cathedral, so I walked up to it. The first time I saw it, I thought the front was ugly. Now I liked it. Inside was dim and cool. The columns rose high. People were praying. It smelled of incense. The stained glass windows were huge and beautiful. I knelt and started praying for everyone I could think of. Brett, Mike, Bill, Cohn, myself, and all the bullfighters, separately for the ones I liked, and as a group for the rest. Then I prayed for myself again. While I was doing that, I started getting sleepy. So I prayed the bullfights would be good, the fiesta would be great, and that we'd get some fishing in. Then I tried to think of anything else to pray for, and decided I'd like more money. So I prayed I'd make a lot of it. Then immediately started thinking about how I'd make it. That led me to thinking about the Count and wondering where he was, and wishing I'd seen him since Montmartre, and remembering something funny Brett had said about him. All the while my forehead was pressed against the wood in front of me, and I was thinking of myself as praying. I felt a little ashamed and thought I was a lousy Catholic, but also figured there wasn't much I could do about it, maybe not ever. Still, it was a great religion, and I wished I felt more religious. Maybe next time. Then I was back outside on the cathedral steps in the hard sun. My right thumb and forefinger were still damp from holy water, and I felt them dry in the heat. The sunlight was harsh. I walked back along side streets to the hotel. That night at dinner, Cohn had clearly gone all in on grooming. Bath, shave, haircut, shampoo, and something slicked into his hair to keep it down. He was tense, and I didn't try to make it easier for him. The train from San Sebastian was due at 9. If Brett and Mike were coming, they'd be on it. At 20 to 9, we were barely halfway through dinner. Cohn stood up and said he was going to the station. I said I'd go with him, mostly to needle him. Bill said he'd be damned if he was leaving his dinner. I told him we'd be right back. We walked to the station. I was enjoying how nervous Cohn was. I hoped Brett would be on the train. The train was late. We sat on a baggage cart outside in the dark and waited. I've never seen a civilian as nervous or as eager as Robert Cohn. I was enjoying it. It was a rotten thing to enjoy, but I felt rotten. Cohn had a talent for bringing out the worst in people. After a while, we heard the whistle far off below the plateau, and then the headlight climbing up. We went inside and stood with the crowd behind the gates. The train pulled in, stopped, and people poured out. They weren't there. We waited until everyone had cleared out, into buses, cabs, or off into town with friends. I knew they wouldn't come, Cohn said as we walked back. I thought they might, I said. Back at the hotel, Bill was finishing fruit and a bottle of wine. Didn't come, huh? No. Mind if I pay you that 100 pesetas in the morning, Cohn? Bill said. I haven't changed money yet. Oh, forget it, Cohn said. Let's bet on something else. Can you bet on bullfights? You could, Bill said, but you don't need to. It's like betting on a war, I said. You don't need the financial stake. I'm very curious to see them, Cohn said. Montoya came up with a telegram and handed it to me. It said, "Stopped night, San Sebastian." It's from them, I said, and put it in my pocket. Normally I would have handed it to Cohn. Instead, I didn't. They've stopped over in San Sebastian, I said. They send their regards. Why did I do that? I know why. I was blind with jealousy over what had happened between them. Acting like it was normal didn't change that. I hated him. I don't think I truly hated him until his little show of superiority at lunch, and then the whole barbershop transformation. So I kept the telegram. It was addressed to me anyway. "Well," I said, "we should take the noon bus to Burguete. If they arrive tomorrow night, they can follow." There were only 2 trains from San Sebastian, one early in the morning and the one we'd just met. "Sounds good," Cohn said. "The sooner we're on the river, the better." "It's all the same to me," Bill said. "Sooner is better." We had coffee at the Aruña for a while, then walked out toward the bull ring and across the field to the cliff edge under the trees, looking down at the river in the dark. I went to bed early. Bill and Cohn stayed out late. I was asleep when they got back. In the morning, I bought 3 bus tickets to Burguete. The bus left at 2. There was nothing earlier. I was at the Aruña reading papers when I saw Cohn crossing the square. He sat down in one of the wicker chairs. "This is a comfortable café," he said. "Sleep well?" "Like a rock," I said. I didn't. Bill and I stayed out late. "Where?" "Here, and after this closed, we went to that other place. The old man speaks German and English." "The Café Suizo." "That's it. I think it's better than this one." "Not in the daytime," I said. "Too hot. By the way, I bought the bus tickets." "I'm not going up today," he said. "You and Bill go on." "I've got your ticket." "Give it to me. I'll get a refund." "It's 5 pesetas." He gave me a silver 5 peseta coin. "I ought to stay," he said. "I'm afraid there's a misunderstanding." "Why?" I said. "If they start partying in San Sebastian, they might not show up here for days." "That's the problem," he said. "I suggested in a letter that Brett meet me in San Sebastian. I'm afraid that's why they stopped over." "What makes you think that?" "Well, I wrote suggesting it." I almost said, "Then why didn't you stay there and meet them?" But I stopped. I figured the thought would hit him eventually. I don't think it ever did. He was enjoying being in the know now, talking like we both understood something was between him and Brett. "Well," I said, "Bill and I will head up after lunch." "I wish I could," he said. "We've been talking about this fishing trip all winter." He got sentimental. "But I should stay. When they come, I'll bring them up." "Let's find Bill." "I'm going to the barber shop." "See you at lunch." I found Bill upstairs shaving. "Oh yeah, he told me everything last night," Bill said. "He's a natural confessor. Says he had a date with Brett in San Sebastian." "The lying bastard." "Oh, don't get mad," Bill said. "Not at this stage of the trip. How did you ever even meet this guy?" "Don't rub it in." Bill kept talking into the mirror, half-shaved. "Didn't you send him to me in New York last winter with a letter?" "Thank God I travel." "Don't you have any more Jewish friends you want to bring along?" He rubbed his chin, checked it, and scraped again. "You've got some great ones yourself." "Oh, I've got some beauties, but nothing like Robert Cohn. The worst part is he is nice. I like him, but he's just awful." "He can be damn nice." "I know," Bill said. "That's what makes it so bad." I laughed. "Yeah, laugh it up," Bill said. "You weren't stuck with him until 2 in the morning." "Was he that bad?" "Horrible. So what's the Brett situation anyway? Did she actually do anything with him?" "Yeah, she went down to San Sebastian with him." "What a stupid thing to do. Why? She wanted to get out of Paris, and she can't go anywhere alone. She said she thought it would be good for him. The idiot choices people make, Bill said. Why didn't she go with her own crowd? Or you? He slid past that. Or me? Why not me? He inspected his face closely and dabbed lather on his cheekbones. It's an honest face. Any woman would be safe with this face. She'd never seen it. She should. Every woman should. This face should be on every movie screen in the country. Every bride should be handed a copy of it on the way out of church. Mothers should warn their daughters about this face. My son, he pointed his razor at me, go west with this face and grow up with the country. He rinsed his face, splashed on alcohol, then stared at himself, pulling down his upper lip. My God, he said, what an awful face. Then he said, and as for Cohn, he makes me sick. He can go to hell. And I'm glad he's staying here so we don't have him fishing with us. You're damn right. We're going trout fishing in the Irati. We're getting drunk at lunch on local wine, then taking a nice bus ride. Come on, I said. Let's go to the Arunia and get started. Chapter 13. One morning I went down to breakfast and the Englishman, Harris, was already at the table, reading the paper through his glasses. He looked up and smiled. Morning, he said. There's a letter for you. I stopped at the post office and they handed it to me with mine. The letter was at my place, propped against a coffee cup. Harris went back to his paper. I opened it. It had been forwarded from Pamplona. It was dated San Sebastian, Sunday. Dear Jake, we got here Friday. Brett passed out on the train, so I brought her here to rest for 3 days with some old friends of ours. We're going to the Hotel Montoya in Pamplona on Tuesday. No idea what time we'll arrive. Could you send a note by bus telling us how to catch up with you all on Wednesday? All our love, and sorry we're late, but Brett was completely wiped out. She'll be perfectly fine by Tuesday. She pretty much is already. I know her well and try to look after her, but it isn't easy. Love to all the chaps, Michael. What day is it? I asked Harris. Wednesday, I think. Yes, Wednesday, he said. Funny how you lose track of days up here in the mountains. Yeah, we've been here almost a week. I hope you're not thinking of leaving. We are, I said. We'll take the afternoon bus into Pamplona. What a shame. I was hoping we'd get one more run at the Irati together. We have to get back into town. We're meeting people. Rotten luck for me. We've had a great time here in Burguete. Come into Pamplona with us, I said. We can play some bridge, and the fiesta is going to be excellent. I'd like to, he said. That's very kind of you, but I should stay here. I haven't got much time left to fish. You're after those big Irati ones. I am, honestly. They're enormous up there. I'd like one more try at them, too. Then do it. Stay another day. Be a good chap. We really need to get into town, I said. What a pity. After breakfast, Bill and I sat on a bench outside the inn, warming up in the sun, talking it through. I saw a girl coming up the road from the center of town. She stopped in front of us and pulled a telegram from the leather pouch hanging at her waist. For you, she said. I checked the address. Barnes, Burguete. Yes, that's us. She held out a book for me to sign. I did, gave her a couple of copper coins, and opened the telegram. It was in Spanish. Arriving Thursday, Cohn. I handed it to Bill. What does Cohn mean? He asked. What a useless telegram, I said. He could have sent 10 words for the same price. I arrive Thursday. Great. Now we know everything. It tells you everything Cohn thinks matters, Bill said. We're going in regardless, I said. No point trying to haul Brett and Mike up here and back before the fiesta. Should we reply? May as well, Bill said. No need to be snobs. We walked to the post office and asked for a telegraph form. What do we say? Bill asked. Arriving tonight. That's enough. We paid, sent it, and walked back to the inn. Harris was there, and the three of us walked up to Roncesvalles and went through the monastery. It's a remarkable place, Harris said when we came out, though I'm not really one for places like this. Me neither, Bill said. Still, remarkable, Harris said. I'm glad I saw it. I'd been meaning to come up every day. Not the same as fishing, though, Bill said. He liked Harris. Not remotely. We were standing in front of the old chapel. Is that a pub across the road? Harris asked. Or am I imagining it? It definitely looks like a pub, Bill said. Looks like one to me, I said. I say, Harris said, let's make use of it. He'd picked up utilize from Bill. We each had a bottle of wine. Harris wouldn't let us pay. He spoke Spanish well, and the innkeeper refused our money anyway. I can't tell you what it's meant to me having you two up here, Harris said. Honestly. We've had a great time, too, Harris. Harris was a little drunk. You really can't know. I haven't had much fun since the war. We'll fish together again sometime, I said. Don't forget it. We must. We've had such a good time. How about another bottle, Bill said. Excellent idea, Harris said. This one's on me, Bill said, or we don't drink it. I wish you'd let me, Harris said. It genuinely gives me pleasure. This is going to give me pleasure, Bill said. The innkeeper brought the fourth bottle. We kept the same glasses. Harris raised his. I say, this really does go down well. Bill slapped him on the back. Good old Harris. You know, Harris said, my name isn't actually just Harris. It's Wilson Harris, one name, hyphenated. Good old Wilson Harris, Bill said. We call you Harris because we're fond of you. I say, Barnes, you can't know what all this means to me. Drink up, Harris, I said. Barnes, truly, you can't. That's all. We walked back down from Roncesvalles with Harris between us. We had lunch at the inn, and he came with us to the bus. He gave us his card, London address, his club, his business address, and as we climbed on, he handed each of us an envelope. I opened mine. A dozen fishing flies. Harris had tied them himself. I say, Harris, I started. No, he said, climbing back down. They're not first-rate at all. I just thought if you use them someday, it might remind you of what a good time we had. The bus pulled away. Harris stood in front of the post office and waved. As we rolled out, he turned and walked back toward the inn. Wasn't Harris terrific, Bill said. I think he really did have a good time. Harris? He absolutely did. I wish he'd come into Pamplona. He wanted to fish. Yeah, and anyway, you never know how English people will get on with each other. I suppose not. We got into Pamplona late afternoon. The bus stopped in front of the Hotel Montoya. In the plaza, they were stringing electric lights for the fiesta. A few kids drifted over, and a customs officer made everyone getting off open their bundles right there on the sidewalk. We went inside. On the stairs, I ran into Montoya. He shook our hands, smiling in that shy way of his. Your friends are here, he said. Campbell? Yes, Cohn and Campbell and Lady Ashley. He smiled like there was something I'd be hearing about. When did they arrive? Yesterday. I saved the same rooms you had. Perfect. Did Campbell get the room on the plaza? Yes, all the rooms we looked at. Where are they now? I think they went to the pelota. And the bulls? Montoya smiled. Tonight. At 7 they unload the VR bulls. Tomorrow the Miuras come. Are you all going? Oh yes, they've never seen an unloading. I'll see you there, Montoya said, and put a hand on my shoulder. He always smiled like bullfighting was a private thing between the two of us, a dirty little secret to outsiders, but serious and real to people who understood. He looked at Bill. And your friend, he's an aficionado too? Yes, I said. He came all the way from New York for San Fermin. Yes, Montoya said politely, not buying it. But he's not an aficionado like you. He touched my shoulder again, embarrassed and sincere. Yes, I said, he really is. But not like you are, Montoya said. Afición means passion. An aficionado is someone who truly has that passion for bullfighting. The good matadors stayed at Montoya's hotel, the ones with real afición. The commercial ones might stay once and never return. The good ones came back every year. In Montoya's room were their photographs, dedicated to Juanito Montoya or his sister. The photos of fighters he genuinely believed in were framed. The photos from men without afición he kept in a desk drawer. They often had flattering inscriptions, but they didn't mean anything. One day he took them out and tossed them all in the trash. He didn't want them around. We talked about bulls and bullfighters whenever I stayed at Montoya's, which I had for years. Not long conversations, more like quietly comparing what each of us felt. Men came in from distant towns, and before leaving Pamplona, stopped to talk a few minutes with Montoya about the bulls. Those men were aficionados. If you were one, you could always get a room even when the hotel was full. Montoya introduced me to some of them. At first they were always polite, and it amused them that I was American. The assumption was simple. An American couldn't truly have afición. He might imitate it or confuse it with excitement, but he couldn't really have it. When they realized I did have it, there was no password, no set test, just a kind of quiet spoken probing, always slightly defensive and never obvious. Then came the same embarrassed hand on the shoulder, or a buen hombre. And almost always they touched you, like they needed physical proof. Montoya could forgive anything in a bullfighter who had afición. Nerves, panic, inexplicable mistakes, lapses of every kind. If a man had afición, Montoya would forgive him anything. And without ever saying so directly, he forgave me for my friends too. They were simply a little bit of something embarrassing between us, like the accidental spilling of the horses in a bullfight. Bill went upstairs as we came in. I found him washing and changing. So, he said, talk a lot of Spanish? He was telling me about the bulls unloading tonight. Let's find the gang and go. Fine, they'll be at the café. You've got tickets? Yes, I bought them for all the unloadings. What's it like? He was pulling at his cheek in the mirror, checking for missed stubble. Pretty good, I said. They let the bulls out of their cages one at a time. There are steers in the corral to meet them and calm them down. The bulls slam into the steers, and the steers run around trying to settle them. Do the bulls ever gore the steers? Sure. Sometimes they go straight for them and kill them. Can't the steers fight back? No, they're trying to make friends. Why use them then? To calm the bulls down and keep them from smashing their horns against the stone walls or goring each other. Must be a great life being a steer. We went downstairs and crossed the square toward the Café Iruña. 2 ticket booths stood there, lonely and shut, the windows labeled Sol, Sol y Sombra, and Sombra. They wouldn't open until the day before the fiesta. The Iruña's white wicker tables and chairs spread out beyond the arcade. I scanned for Brett and Mike. There they were, Brett, Mike, and Robert Cohn. Brett wore a Basque beret. So did Mike. Cohn had no hat and wore his glasses. Brett saw us and waved, her eyes crinkling as we came up. "Hello, you chaps." Brett looked happy. Mike put an odd intensity into a handshake. Cohn shook hands because we were back. "Where the hell have you been?" I asked. "I brought them up," Cohn said. "Nonsense," Brett said. "We'd have gotten here sooner if you hadn't shown up." "You'd never have gotten here." "Oh, rubbish. You two are brown. Look at Bill." "Good fishing?" Mike asked. "We wanted to join you." "It wasn't bad. We missed you." "I wanted to go," Cohn said, "but I thought I should bring them." "You brought us. What rot." "Was it really good?" Mike asked. "Did you catch many?" "Some days we took a dozen each. There was an Englishman up there." "Harris," Bill said. "Do you know him, Mike? He was in the war, too." "Lucky fellow," Mike said. "What times we had. How I wish those days were back." "Don't be an ass," Brett said. "Were you in the war, Mike?" Cohn asked. "Was I not?" "He was very distinguished," Brett said. "Tell them about when your horse bolted down Piccadilly." "I'm not telling that. I've told it 4 times. "You never told me," Cohn said. "I'm not telling it. It doesn't make me look good." "Tell them about your medals," Brett said. "I won't. That story makes me look even worse." "What story?" "Brett tells all the stories that make me look bad," Mike said. "Go on, tell it, Brett." "Should I?" "I'll tell it myself," Mike said. "What medals do you have, Mike?" Cohn asked. "I haven't got any." "You must have some." "I suppose I have the usual ones. I never applied for them. But there was this enormous dinner once. The Prince of Wales was meant to be there, and the invitation said medals must be worn. Naturally, I had none. I stopped at my tailor's. He was impressed by the invitation, and I thought, good, this is useful. I said, "You'll have to fix me up with some medals." He said, "Which medals, sir?" I said, "Any medals. Just give me a few." He asked what medals I had. I said, "How should I know? Do you think I sit around reading the bloody Gazette? Pick some yourself." So he gave me a box of miniature medals. I put it in my pocket and forgot about it. That night, Henry Wilson had been shot, so the prince didn't come, the king didn't come, and nobody wore medals. All these fellows were busy taking theirs off, and I had mine still in my pocket. He paused for us to laugh. "Is that it?" Brett said. "That's it. Maybe I told it badly." "You did," Brett said, "but never mind." We were all laughing. "Ah, right," Mike said. "It was a dreadful dinner and I couldn't stand it, so I left." Later I found the box in my pocket. "What's this? Medals? Bloody military medals?" So I cut them off their backing, those strips they come on, and gave them away. 1 to each girl, a souvenir. They thought I was some kind of heroic soldier, handing out medals in a nightclub. Dashing. "Tell the rest," Brett said. "Wasn't that funny?" Mike asked. It was. Anyway, my tailor wrote and demanded the medals back. Sent a man round. Kept writing for months. Turns out some other chap had left them with him to be cleaned. Very military type. Treasured them. Rotten luck for the tailor. You don't mean it, Bill said. Sounds like great luck for the tailor. Brilliant tailor, Mike said. You wouldn't guess it looking at me now. I used to pay him £100 a year just to keep him quiet, so he wouldn't send bills. Terrible blow when I went bankrupt, right after the medals. His letters got bitter. How did you go bankrupt? Bill asked. 2 ways, Mike said. Gradually, then suddenly. What caused it? Friends, Mike said. I had lots of friends, the wrong ones, and creditors, probably more than anyone in England. Tell them about the court, Brett said. I don't remember. I was a bit drunk. Drunk, Brett said. You were blind. Extraordinary, Mike said. Met my old partner the other day. Offered to buy me a drink. Tell them about your barrister, Brett said. I'm not, Mike said. He was blind too. This is a grim topic. Are we going to see the bulls unloaded or not? Let's go. We paid and walked through town. I started beside Brett, but Cohn came up and took the other side of her. The 3 of us walked past the ayuntamiento with banners on the balcony, past the market, down toward the bridge over the Arga. Crowds were headed the same way. Carriages rolled down the hill and across the bridge, drivers and horses towering above the walkers. Across the bridge, we turned up the road to the corrals. We passed a wine shop with a sign. Good wine, 30 centimes a liter. That's where we'll go when we're broke, Brett said. A woman in the doorway watched us, called inside, and 3 girls came to the window to stare. They were staring at Brett. At the corral gate, 2 men took tickets. Inside were trees and a low stone building. At the far end was the whitewashed stone wall of the pens, with narrow openings like loopholes running along each corral. A ladder led to the top. People climbed up and spread out along the dividing walls. As we crossed the grass under the trees, we passed big gray cages, each bull in its own traveling box, stenciled with the breeder's name and brand. They'd come by train from Castile, unloaded onto flat cars, then hauled here to be released into the corrals. We climbed up and found a spot on the wall looking down. Straw covered the ground. Wooden feed boxes and water troughs lined the wall. Look up there, I said. Beyond the river rose the town's plateau. Along the old walls, people stood in thick lines, 3 tiers of fortifications, 3 black bands of bodies. Heads filled windows. Boys had climbed trees at the far end. They must think something big is going to happen, Brett said. They're here for the bulls. Mike and Bill were across on another wall and waved. Latecomers pressed in behind us. Why aren't they starting? Cohn asked. A mule dragged one cage up to the gate. Men shoved it into place with crowbars. Others stood ready to hoist the corral gate and then the cage gate. At the far end, another gate opened and 2 steers trotted in, lean and uneasy, stopping together with their heads aimed at the entrance where the bull would come out. They don't look thrilled, Brett said. The men on the wall yanked up the corral door, then the cage door. I leaned over, trying to see inside. It was dark. Someone banged the cage with an iron bar. Inside, something detonated, horns smashing the wood, a brutal, hollow roar. Then a dark muzzle, shadowed horns, and the bull burst out, clattering over the boards, skidding in the straw as he stopped, head up. A huge hump of neck muscle swollen tight, body trembling as he stared at the crowd on the walls. The steers backed against the wall, heads low, eyes fixed on him. The bull saw them and charged. A man shouted from behind a plank shelter and slapped his hat against the boards. The bull whipped around and charged the sound instead, trying to reach the man. 6 quick, precise drives of the right horn into the planks. "My God," Brett said, "he's beautiful." "Look how he uses his horns," I said. "He's got a left and right like a boxer." "Really?" "Watch. It's too fast. Wait, another one's coming." They backed another cage into place. In the far corner, a man drew the first bull's attention while the gate went up. A second bull burst into the corral and ran straight at the steers. 2 men sprinted out waving and shouting to turn him. He didn't even hesitate. "Ha! Ha! Toro!" they yelled, arms flailing. The steers turned sideways to take the hit, and the bull drove into one of them. "Don't look," I said to Brett. She kept watching anyway, locked in. "Fine," I said. "Just don't say it didn't warn you." "I saw it," she said. "I saw him switch from left to right horn." "Exactly." The steer was down now, neck stretched, head twisted. Then the bull broke off and went for the other steer at the far end. The steer ran awkwardly. The bull caught him and hooked him lightly in the flank, then turned away and looked up at the crowd again, cresting his neck. The steer came back and nosed toward him. The bull hooked him casually. The next time the steer nosed again, and the pair trotted over to the other bull. When the next bull came out, the 2 bulls and the steer stood together, heads aligned, horns toward the newcomer. Within minutes, the steer brought the new bull under control and folded him into the group. By the time the last 2 bulls were unloaded, they were all together as a herd. The injured steer had gotten back up and stood against the wall. None of the bulls went near him, and he didn't try to rejoin. We climbed down with the crowd and took a last look through the loopholes. The bulls were quiet now, heads down. Outside, we hired a carriage and rode back to the café. Mike and Bill showed up half an hour later. They'd stopped for several drinks on the way. Back at the café, Brett said, "That whole thing is unbelievable." "Will the last bulls fight like the first?" Cohn asked. "They settle down so fast." "They all know each other," I said. "They're most dangerous when they're alone, or just 1 or 2 together." "Dangerous?" Bill said. "They all look dangerous to me. They only really want to kill when they're alone. If you went in there, you'd probably split one off from the group, and then he'd be dangerous." "That's too complicated," Bill said. "Don't ever separate me from the herd, Mike." "I say," Mike said, "they were fine bulls, weren't they, those horns?" "Fine," Brett said. "I had no idea." "Did you see that one hit the steer?" Mike said. "Extraordinary." "It's a miserable life being a steer," Cohn said. "Is it?" Mike said. "I'd think you'd love it, Robert." "What do you mean?" "Quiet life, never say anything, just hang around." The table went stiff. Bill laughed. Cohn flushed. Mike kept going. "I'd think it would suit you perfectly. You'd never have to say a word. Come on, Robert, say something. Don't just sit there." "I did say something," Cohn said, "about the steers." "Oh, say something else. Say something funny. Can't you see we're all having a lovely time?" "Stop it, Michael," Brett said. "You're drunk." "I'm not drunk. I'm serious. Is Robert Cohn going to trail Brett around like a steer the whole time? Shut up, Brett said. Try to behave like you were raised properly. Raised properly be damned. Who has breeding except the bulls? Aren't they magnificent? And why don't you say something, Robert? Don't sit there looking like a funeral. What if Brett slept with you? She slept with plenty of better men than you. Shut up, Cohn said, standing. Shut up, Mike. Oh, don't stand up like you're going to hit me. That doesn't change anything. Tell me, Robert, why do you follow Brett around like a pathetic steer? Don't you know you're not wanted? I know when I'm not wanted. Why don't you? You went down to San Sebastian where you weren't wanted and hovered around Brett like a steer. Do you think that's right? Shut up. You're drunk. Maybe I am. Why aren't you? Why don't you ever get drunk, Robert? You didn't enjoy San Sebastian because none of our friends invited you anywhere. Hardly surprising, is it? I asked them to. They wouldn't. You can't blame them, can you? Answer me. Can you blame them? Go to hell, Mike. I can't blame them, can you? Why do you follow Brett? Haven't you got any manners? How do you think it makes me feel? You're the one lecturing about manners, Brett said. Your manners are lovely. Come on, Robert, Bill said. What do you trail her for? Bill stood and took hold of Cohn. Don't go, Mike said. Robert Cohn's going to buy a drink. Bill left with Cohn. Cohn's face had gone gray-yellow. Mike kept talking. Brett looked disgusted. I listened because what else was there to do? I say, Michael, Brett cut in, you don't have to be such a bloody idiot. I'm not saying you're wrong. She turned to me. Mike's voice dropped. Suddenly we were friends again. I'm not as drunk as I sounded, he said. I know, Brett said. None of us are sober, I said. I didn't say anything I didn't mean. No, Brett said, laughing. You just said it in the worst possible way. He was an ass, though, Mike said. He went to San Sebastian where he wasn't wanted. He hovered around Brett and stared at her. It made me sick. He did behave badly, Brett said. And Brett's had affairs, Mike said. She tells me everything. She even gave me Cohn's letters to read. I wouldn't read them. Very noble of you. No, listen. Brett's had affairs, but they weren't ever with Jews, and they didn't hang around afterward. Michael, Brett said, that's all nonsense. We understand each other. She gave me his letters. I wouldn't read them. You don't read anyone's letters, darling. You wouldn't read mine. I can't read letters, Mike said. Funny, isn't it? You can't read anything. That's not true. I read at home. You'll be writing next, Brett said. Come on, Michael, pull yourself together. You've got to get through this. He's here. Don't ruin the fiesta. Well, then, he can behave. He will, I'll tell him. You tell him, Jake, Mike said. Tell him he either behaves or he leaves. Sure, I said. That'll be easy for me. Tell Jake what Robert calls you, Mike said. That's perfect. Oh, no, Brett said. I can't. Go on. We're all friends, aren't we? I can't say it. It's too ridiculous. I'll tell him, Mike said. You won't, Michael. Don't be an ass. He calls her Circe, Mike said. Says she turns men into swine. Not bad. I wish I were one of those literary types. He writes a good letter, Brett said. I know, I said. He wrote me from San Sebastian. That was nothing, Brett said. He can be very amusing." "She made me write that," Mike said. "She was meant to be ill." "I was ill," Brett said. "Come on," I said. "We need to eat." "How am I supposed to face Cohn?" Mike said. "Act like nothing happened." "I'm fine," Mike said. "I'm not embarrassed." "If he says anything, say you were drunk." "Right. And the funny part is, I think I was." "Come on," Brett said. "Have we paid for these poisonous things? I need a bath before dinner." We crossed the square. It was dark now, the arcades lit up with café lights. We walked under the trees to the hotel. They went upstairs. I stopped to talk to Montoya. "So, what did you think of the bulls?" he asked. "Good. Nice bulls." "They're fine," Montoya said, shaking his head, "but not great." "What didn't you like?" "I don't know. They just didn't give me the feeling they were truly good." "I know what you mean." "They're fine, that's all." "Yes," I said, "they're fine." "And your friends?" "They loved it." "Good," Montoya said. I went upstairs. Bill was on the balcony looking out over the square. I stood beside him. "Where's Cohn?" "Upstairs, in his room." "How does he feel?" "Like hell, obviously. Mike was awful. He's terrible when he's drunk." "He wasn't that drunk." "The hell he wasn't. I know what we had before we got to the café." "He sobered up after." "Good. He was vicious. I don't like Cohn. God knows I don't. And I think it was stupid for him to go to San Sebastian. But nobody has the right to talk the way Mike did." "How'd you like the bulls?" "Great. The whole unloading is great." "Tomorrow the Muras come." "When does the fiesta start?" "Day after tomorrow." "We've got to stop Mike getting that drunk," Bill said. "That kind of scene is poison." "We'd better clean up for supper." "Yes," Bill said. "That'll be a lovely meal." It was, actually. Brett wore a black sleeveless evening dress and looked stunning. Mike acted like nothing had happened. I had to go get Cohn and bring him down. He was stiff and formal, face tight and pale, but he loosened up eventually. He couldn't stop looking at Brett. It seemed to make him happy, to see her looking that beautiful and know he'd been away with her, and everyone knew it. Nobody could take that away from him. Bill was hilarious. Mike was too. They worked well together. It reminded me of certain dinners during the war. Lots of wine, tension everyone pretended not to notice, and that feeling of something coming that you couldn't prevent. With enough wine, the disgust faded, and I felt almost happy. They all seemed like such good people. Chapter 14. I don't know what time I finally went to bed. I remember getting undressed, throwing on a robe, and stepping onto the balcony. I knew I was properly drunk, and when I came back inside, I turned on the bedside light and tried to read. I was reading Turgenev. I probably reread the same 2 pages over and over. It was one of the stories from the Sportsman's sketches. I'd read it before, but right then it felt brand new. The setting in the book got sharp and vivid, and the pressure in my head started to ease. I was very drunk, and I didn't want to close my eyes because the room would start spinning. If I kept reading, I told myself, that feeling would pass. I heard Brett and Robert Cohn come up the stairs. Cohn said good night outside her door and went on up to his room. I heard Brett go into the room next to mine. Mike was already in bed. He'd come in with me about an hour earlier. He woke when she came in, and they talked. I heard them laugh. I turned off the light and tried to sleep. I didn't need to read anymore. I could close my eyes now without the room turning, but I still couldn't sleep. There's no reason that darkness should make you see things differently than daylight, except, of course, it absolutely does. I'd figured that out once and spent 6 months sleeping with the electric light on. Another brilliant idea. To hell with women, anyway. To hell with you, Brett Ashley. Women made great friends, sure. The catch was, you had to be in love with a woman to even have the foundation for friendship. I'd been calling Brett my friend without thinking about what it cost her, or what it cost me. I'd been getting something for nothing. All that does is postpone the bill. The bill always comes. That's one of the few dependable things. I told myself I'd paid for everything. Not the way a woman pays, over and over, without expecting payback or punishment. Just an exchange. You give something up and you get something else, or you work for it. You pay, somehow, for anything that's any good. I'd paid my way into enough things I liked that I'd managed to have a decent time. Sometimes you paid by studying, sometimes by experience, sometimes by risk, sometimes with cash. Living well was learning how to get your money's worth and knowing when you'd gotten it. You could get your money's worth. The world was a good place to shop in. It sounded like a solid philosophy. I figured in 5 years it would probably sound just as stupid as all the other solid philosophies I'd collected. Maybe that wasn't true. Maybe you really did learn something as you went. I didn't care what life meant. All I wanted to know was how to live inside it. Maybe once you learned how to live in it, you understood what it was about. I wished Mike wouldn't be so vicious to Cohn. Mike was a nasty drunk. Brett was a good drunk. Bill was a good drunk. Cohn was never drunk. Mike hit a point where he turned mean. Part of me liked watching him hurt Cohn. Then afterward, I'd feel disgusted with myself for liking it. That was morality, maybe. Whatever makes you feel ashamed afterward. No, that was probably immorality. Big statement. Look at me, thinking up grand theories at night. What rot, I could hear Brett saying. What rot. When you spent time with the English, you started thinking in English phrases. Upper-class English, anyway, had to have fewer actual words than, who knows, the Eskimos. I didn't know anything about Eskimos. Or say, the Cherokee. I didn't know anything about them either. The English talked in these set, loaded phrases. One phrase that could mean 10 things. Still, I liked them. I liked how they talked. Take Harris. Though Harris wasn't really upper class. I turned the light back on and read again. I read the Turgenev. I knew that in the oversensitive state you get into after too much brandy, whatever you read sticks to you. Later it would feel like it had happened to me. I'd have it forever. That was another thing you paid for and got to keep. Sometime near dawn, I finally fell asleep. The next 2 days in Pamplona were quiet. No more blow-ups. The town was getting ready for the fiesta. Workmen put up the posts that would block off side streets when the bulls were released from the corrals and ran through town in the morning on their way to the ring. They dug holes and set the timbers in place, each one numbered so it would go back to the same spot. Out on the plateau beyond town, men from the bull ring exercised the picadors' horses, galloping them stiff-legged across the hard, sun-baked fields behind the ring. The big gate of the bull ring stood open. Inside, they were sweeping. The ring was rolled and watered, and carpenters replaced weak or cracked planks in the barrier. If you stood at the edge of the smooth, packed sand and looked up into the empty seats, you could see old women sweeping out the boxes. Outside, the fence that funneled the last street into the bullring entrance was already up, making a long chute. On the morning of the first bullfight, the crowd would run down there with the bulls behind them. Out across the plain where the horse and cattle fair would be, some gypsies had set up camp under the trees. Sellers of wine and aguardiente were building their booths. One booth had a sign, Anís del Toro. The cloth banner hung against the boards in the hot sun. In the big central square, nothing had changed yet. We sat in white wicker chairs on the café terrace and watched the motor buses arrive and unload farmers coming in for market. We watched the buses fill again and leave, the farmers sitting with their saddlebags stuffed with whatever they'd bought. Those tall gray buses were the only real movement in the square, besides pigeons and a man with a hose sprinkling down the gravel and wetting the streets. In the evening there was the paseo. For an hour after dinner, everyone, the pretty girls, the officers from the garrison, the well-dressed people, walked along one side of the square while the café tables filled with the usual after-dinner crowd. Most mornings I sat at the café, read the Madrid papers, then walked around town or out into the country. Sometimes Bill came. Sometimes he wrote in his room. Cohn spent mornings studying Spanish or trying to get a shave at the barber's. Brett and Mike never got up before noon. We'd all have a vermouth at the café. It was quiet living, and nobody was getting drunk. I went to church a couple of times, once with Brett. She said she wanted to hear me go to confession, but I told her not only was it impossible, it wasn't as interesting as she imagined, and it would be in a language she didn't understand anyway. We ran into Cohn coming out of church, and even though it was obvious he'd followed us, he was pleasant enough. The three of us walked out to the gypsy camp, and Brett had her fortune told. It was a good morning. High white clouds hung over the mountains. It had rained a little during the night, and the plateau felt fresh and cool with a wide view. We all felt good, healthy, and I felt almost friendly toward Cohn. On a day like that, you couldn't stay upset about anything. That was the last day before the fiesta. Chapter 15. At noon on Sunday, July 6th, the fiesta detonated. That's the only honest word for it. People had been arriving all day from the countryside, but at first they blended in so well you barely noticed. The plaza still looked calm in the heat, just like any other day. The farmers and villagers were mostly out on the edges of town in the little wine shops, drinking, warming up, easing themselves into what was coming. They'd just come in from fields and hills where money still meant something concrete. Hours of work, sacks of grain, bushels sold. They couldn't jump straight into café prices. In the wine shops, they got their money's worth. Later in the week, none of it would matter. Price, place, anything. But on the opening day of San Fermin, they'd been in those narrow street wine shops since early morning. Walking down to Mass at the cathedral, I heard them singing through open doors. They were revving the engine. The 11 o'clock Mass was packed. San Fermin is a religious festival, too. I walked down from the cathedral, up the street, and into the café on the main square. It was just before noon. Cohn and Bill were already there. The café had changed. The marble tables and white wicker chairs were gone. replaced by cast iron tables and harsh folding chairs. The place looked like a battleship stripped down for combat. Today the waiters didn't let you sit quietly all morning. They were on you the second you sat. "What are you drinking?" I asked. "Sherry," Cohn said. "Jerez," I told the waiter. Before the sherry arrived, the rocket that officially starts the fiesta shot up from the square. It burst overhead and left a gray puff of smoke high above the Gallare Theater. The smoke hung there like a shrapnel burst. While I watched, another rocket rose into the sunlight, trailing smoke, then flashed and burst too. Another little cloud added to the sky. In the time it took for the second rocket to explode, the arcades, empty a minute earlier, became jammed with people. The waiter had to push through the sudden wall of bodies, holding the bottle above his head to keep it from being knocked away. People poured into the plaza from every direction. Down the street you could hear pipes, fifes, and drums, the riao riao music, shrill pipes and pounding drums. Behind the musicians came men and boys dancing. When the fifers stopped, the dancers crouched down in the street. When the pipes shrieked again and the drums resumed their flat, dry tapping, the dancers sprang up together. In the crowd you couldn't see feet, only heads and shoulders bobbing like a living wave. A hunched man in the square was playing a reed pipe while children swarmed him, shouting, yanking his clothes. He piped past the café and down a side street, the kids close behind. As he passed, we saw his blank, pockmarked face. "He must be the village idiot," Bill said. Then, "My God, look at that." A new wave of dancers came down the street, and this time the street was packed solid with them, all men, dancing in time behind their own musicians. They looked like a club or work crew, blue work smocks, red neckerchiefs, and a huge banner bouncing above them on two poles. Painted on it were the words, "Hooray for wine! Hooray for the foreigners!" "Where are the foreigners?" Cohn asked. "We're the foreigners," Bill said. Rockets kept firing. The cafe tables were all full now. The square itself began emptying as people packed into the cafes. "Where are Brett and Mike?" Bill asked. "I'll go get them," Cohn said. "Bring them here." The fiesta was truly underway. It would run 7 days, day and night, dancing, drinking, noise, continuous. Things happened that could only happen during a fiesta. After a while, everything felt unreal, like consequences had been suspended. Even when it went quiet, you still felt like you had to shout to be heard. It wasn't just sound, it was the same feeling about behavior. Everything was turned up, and it stayed that way. That afternoon was the big religious procession. San Fermin was carried from one church to another. All the civil and religious officials were there, but we couldn't really see them because the crowd was too dense. Before and after the formal procession, the Riao Riao dancers surged through the streets. We could see a moving mass of yellow shirts bouncing in rhythm. The only clear things we caught through the press of bodies were the giant figures, like 30-foot carnival statues, Moors, a king and queen, cigar store Indian-style giants, turning and waltzing solemnly to the Riao Riao music. Later, they stopped outside the chapel where the saint and dignitaries went in. Soldiers formed a guard. The giants stood resting, with the men inside them standing beside their frames. The dwarfs pushed through the crowd, smacking people with inflated bladders, We tried to go inside the chapel, but Brett got stopped immediately. She had no hat. So we turned back down the street leading into town, where people were already lined at the curbs, saving their spots for the procession's return. A group of dancers formed a circle around Brett and started dancing. They wore thick wreaths of white garlic around their necks. They grabbed Bill and me by the arms and pulled us into the circle. Bill danced too. They chanted. Brett wanted to dance, but they wouldn't let her. She wasn't meant to join. She was meant to be a centerpiece, something to dance around. When the song ended with the sharp "Riau, riau," they shoved us into a wine shop. Inside was dark and crammed with men singing, hard, rough singing. They set Brett on top of a wine cask behind the counter. Wine was being drawn from barrels. I put money down, but one of the men picked it up and shoved it back in my pocket. "I want a leather wineskin," Bill said. "There's a place down the street," I said. "I'll go get a couple." The dancers didn't want me to leave. 3 of them sat beside Brett on the cask, teaching her how to drink from the wineskins. They hung a garlic wreath on her. Someone insisted she drink from a glass. Someone else was teaching Bill a song, singing straight into his ear and beating time on his back. I told them I'd be back and went out into the street to find the shop. The sidewalks were packed. Many shops were shuttered. I couldn't locate it, even walking all the way to the church and scanning both sides. Finally, I asked a man, and he took my arm and led me there. The shutters were up, but the door was open. Inside, it smelled like fresh leather and hot tar. Wineskins hung from the ceiling in bunches. A man was stenciling finished ones. He took one down, inflated it, screwed the nozzle tight, then jumped on it. "See? It doesn't leak." "I want another one too, a big one." He took down a larger skin, one that held a gallon or more, blew it up with puffed cheeks, then stood on it while holding a chair for balance. "What are you going to do, sell them in Bayonne?" "No, drink out of them." He slapped my back. "Good man. 8 pesetas for the 2, lowest price." The man who had been stenciling looked up. "It's true," he said. 8 pesetas is cheap." I paid and went back. The wine shop was even darker and more crowded. I didn't see Brett or Bill. Someone said they were in the back room. At the counter, the girl filled both skins, one 2 liters, one 5. The wine cost 3 pesetas 60. A stranger tried to pay, but I managed to pay myself. Then the man insisted on buying me a drink and refused to let me return the favor. He said he'd take a mouth rinse from the new wineskin, tilted the 5-liter bag up, squeezed, and let the wine hiss into his throat. "All right," he said, handing it back. In the back room, Brett and Bill were sitting on barrels surrounded by dancers. Everyone had arms over shoulders, singing as one mass. Mike was at a table with several men in rolled-up sleeves, eating tuna mixed with chopped onions and vinegar, drinking wine, wiping up oil and vinegar with bread. "Hello, Jake, hello," Mike called. "Come here. I want you to meet my friends. We're having hors d'oeuvres." He introduced me around. People supplied their names to Mike. Someone got me a fork. "Stop eating their dinner, Michael," Brett shouted from the barrels. "I don't want to eat your meal," I said, as someone handed me a fork. "Eat," the man said. "What do you think it's here for?" I unscrewed the nozzle of the big wineskin and passed it around. Everyone drank the proper way, arm's length, head tilted back. Outside, above the singing, the music of the procession passed by. "Isn't that the procession?" Mike asked. "Nada," someone said. "Nothing. Drink. Lift the bottle. Where did they find you? I asked Mike. Someone brought me, Mike said. They said you were here. Where's Cohn? He's passed out, Brett called. They've put him away somewhere. Where? I don't know. How should we know? Bill said. I think he's dead. He's not dead, Mike said. I know he's not dead. He's just passed out on Anís del Mono. When he said Anís del Mono, one of the men pulled a bottle from inside his smock and offered it to me. No, I said, no thanks. Yes, yes, arriba, up with the bottle. I drank. It tasted of licorice and warmed me all the way down. I could feel it spreading in my stomach. Where the hell is Cohn? I don't know, Mike said. Then he asked in Spanish, Where is the drunk comrade? You want to see him? Yes. Not me, Mike said. This gentleman. The anise man stood, wiped his mouth, and said, Come on. In a back room, Cohn was sleeping quietly on wine casks. It was almost too dark to see his face. They'd covered him with a coat, with another folded under his head. Around his neck and chest was a thick, twisted garlic wreath. Let him sleep, the man whispered. He's fine. 2 hours later, Cohn appeared in the front room, still wearing the garlic wreath. The Spaniards shouted and cheered. Cohn rubbed his eyes and grinned. I must have been sleeping, he said. Oh, not at all, Brett said. You were only dead, Bill said. Aren't we going to go get supper? Cohn asked. Do you want to eat? Yes, why not? I'm hungry. Eat those garlics, Robert, Mike said. Do eat those garlics. Cohn looked completely recovered. Let's go eat, Brett said. I need a bath. Come on, Bill said. Let's translate Brett to the hotel. We shook hands and said goodbye to a lot of people and went out. It was dark. What time do you think it is? Cohn asked. It's tomorrow, Mike said. You slept 2 days. No, what time is it? 10 o'clock. What a lot we've drunk. You mean what a lot we have drunk, Mike said. You went to sleep. Walking through the dark streets toward the hotel, we saw fireworks climbing over the square. Side streets leading into the plaza were packed. The center was solid with people dancing. Dinner at the hotel was huge. It was the first meal with fiesta prices doubled, with extra courses. After dinner, we went back out. I remember promising myself I'd stay up all night to watch the bulls run through the streets at 6 in the morning, and then being so sleepy, I went to bed around 4. The others stayed out. My room was locked and I couldn't find the key, so I went upstairs and slept in one of the beds in Cohn's room. The fiesta roared outside, but I was too tired to care. I woke to the explosion of the rocket that signals the morning bull run. I'd been sleeping hard, and I woke with the sick feeling I'd missed it. I threw on one of Cohn's coats and went out onto the balcony. The narrow street below was empty, but every balcony was packed with spectators. Then a crowd rushed down the street, men running shoulder to shoulder. They streamed past toward the bull ring. More runners followed, faster. Then a few stragglers who were really sprinting. Behind them came a brief open space, and then the bulls, galloping together, heads tossing. They vanished around the corner. One man fell and rolled into the gutter and lay still. The bulls kept going, not even noticing. They ran as one body. A roar rose from the bull ring and continued. Then the final rocket popped, the signal the bulls had made it through the crowd in the ring and into the corrals. I went back in and climbed into bed. My feet had been bare on the cold stone balcony. I assumed our group had been at the bull ring. Cohn woke me when he came in. He started undressing and closed the window because people on the balcony across the street were staring in. "Did you see it?" I asked. "Yes, we were all there." "Anyone hurt?" "One bull got into the crowd in the ring and tossed 6 or 8 people." "How did Brett like it?" "It happened too fast to bother anyone." "I wish I'd been up." "We didn't know where you were. Your room was locked." "Where were you after?" "We danced at some club." "I got sleepy," I said. "My God, I'm sleepy now," Cohn said. "Does this thing ever stop?" "Not for a week." Bill opened the door, stuck his head in. "Where were you, Jake?" "I watched from the balcony. How was it?" "Grand." "Where are you going?" "To sleep." Nobody got up before noon. We ate under the arcades. The town was jammed, and we had to wait for a table. After lunch, we went to the Aruña. It filled up, and as bullfight time approached, it got even tighter. Tables squeezed closer, bodies packed together. There was a specific hum that rose every day before the bullfight. The café didn't sound like that any other time, no matter how crowded it was. This hum was different. It swallowed you. You were inside it. I had 6 seats for all the fights. 3 Barrera seats, front row by the ring, and 3 Sobre Puerto seats, halfway up with wooden backs. Mike thought Brett should sit higher for her first fight. Cohn wanted to sit with them. Bill and I would sit in the Barrera. I gave the extra ticket to a waiter to sell. Bill told Cohn what to do and how to look so he wouldn't fixate on the horses. Bill had seen 1 season of bullfights. "I'm not worried about how I'll take it," Cohn said. "I'm only afraid I may be bored." "You think so?" "Don't watch the horses after the bull hits them," I told Brett. "Watch the charge and the picador trying to hold the bull, but then look away until the horse is dead if it's been hit." "I'm a little nervous," Brett said. "I'm worried I won't be able to get through it." "You'll be fine. Only the horse part will get you, and it's only a few minutes with each bull. Just don't watch when it's bad." "She'll be fine," Mike said. "I'll look after her." "I don't think you'll be bored," Bill said. "I'm going to the hotel to get the glasses and the wineskin," I said. "See you back here. Don't get cockeyed." "I'll come with you," Bill said. Brett smiled at us. We walked through the arcade to stay out of the sun. "That Cohn gets me," Bill said. "He's got this Jewish superiority so strong, he thinks the only emotion he'll get is boredom." "We'll watch him through the glasses," I said. "Oh, to hell with him. He lives in that spot. I want him to stay there." In the hotel stairwell, we ran into Montoya. "Come on," Montoya said. "Do you want to meet Pedro Romero?" Chapter 16. Morning hits and the weather's turned ugly. Rain and fog roll in off the sea and swallow the mountain tops. The whole plateau looks washed out and unfamiliar, trees and houses blurred into new shapes. I walk past the edge of town just to confirm what I already know. The storm's moving in, and it's not in a hurry to leave. Back in the main square, everything hangs wet. Flags, banners, the fronts of buildings. The drizzle never really stops, and then the rain punches harder, driving everyone under the arcades. Puddles spread across the square. The streets go dark and empty. But the fiesta doesn't stop. It just relocates indoors and keeps going. Even the bull ring adapts. People cram into the covered seats to stay dry and watch the Basque and Navarre dancers and singers. Later, the Val Carlos dancers march down the street anyway, costumes soaked, drums sounding deadened by the rain. Band leaders ride ahead on heavy horses, both riders and animals shining with water. The cafes fill up, and the dancers come inside too, white-wrapped legs tucked under tables, shaking rain off their bell caps, laying bright jackets over chairs to dry. Outside, it's still coming down hard. I leave the noise and head back to the hotel to shave for dinner. Halfway through, there's a knock. Montoya comes in, visibly uncomfortable, like he's bringing bad news and hoping I'll say it for him. He tells me there are no bulls today, just rain, and asks where my friends are. At the Aruña. Then he gets to it. The American ambassador is in town. Everyone's seen them. Montoya has too. He won't sit for a drink. He's anxious. He says the Grand Hotel sent word. They want Pedro Romero and Marcial Lalanda to come over for coffee after dinner. Marcial's out of town, but Montoya doesn't want Romero pulled into that world. Foreigners flattering him, turning him into a novelty, burning him out in a year. He's seen it happen. He's basically asking permission to protect the kid. So I tell him straight, don't give Romero the message. Not maybe. Absolutely not. Montoya lights up with relief. He says that's why he asked me. I'm American. I'll understand how the trap works. We trade examples. Young fighters get collected, older ones get ignored. Montoya wants Romero to stay with his own people and avoid the Grand Hotel crowd. He refuses a drink again and leaves, still tense but grateful. I wander the arcades in the rain looking for the group. They aren't at the Aruña. I circle back to the hotel and find them already deep into dinner. They're ahead of me, and catching up feels pointless. Bill is on a mission. He's paying bootblacks to polish Mike's boots, again and again. The bootblacks have clearly spread the word. They keep filing in like it's a shift. Mike's half amused, half annoyed, announcing it's the 11th shine and calling Bill an idiot. Bill keeps ordering more like he's trying to buff Mike into a new personality. I'm drinking red wine and feeling slightly weird about being behind them while this shoeshine circus runs. Then I look over, and Pedro Romero is at the next table. Romero stands when he sees me and invites me over to meet a friend, a small, serious bullfight critic from Madrid. Romero's pleased when I tell him I admire his work. We speak Spanish. The critic can manage a little French. Romero surprises me by slipping into English, shy about it, but proud too. He asks for the exact English translation of Corrida de Toros. He doesn't like bullfight. It sounds crude or wrong to him. I explain there isn't a perfect one-to-one. Corrida is more like running, as in the running of bulls. What we call a bullfight is really the lidia, the handling, the contest of the bull. The critic adds the French version. Romero listens carefully. Language matters to him because reputation matters to him. He tells me he picked up English in Gibraltar. He's from Ronda. He started bullfighting in Malaga, trained there, and he's only been doing this 3 years. He's 19. His older brother works with him as a banderillero, but stays at a cheaper hotel with the rest of Romero's working crew. Romero asks how many times I've seen him fight. I say 3, then immediately realize it's really 2, but I don't correct it. He presses, "Was it Madrid?" I lie and say yes. Safe lie. I've read the write-ups. I can bluff. He asks if it was his first or second appearance. I say the first. He says he was bad then, better the second time, and turns to the critic like this is just craft talk, no ego, no posing. He speaks about his work like it's separate from his identity. Then he says something that lands. If he gets a good bull tomorrow, He'll try to show us what his work really is. He smiles immediately afterward, worried we'll think he's bragging. The critic says he wants to be convinced. He likes Romero, but thinks the work so far has been incomplete. We talk bulls for tomorrow. I mention their size and their short horn. The critic argues the weight. He jokes the horns are bananas. Romero laughs and asks if we'd really call them that. He agrees they're short, but insists not bananas. That's when Brett calls from my table that I've deserted them. Mike, already drunk, yells something crude and tries to drag Romero into the group conversation like Romero is a party trick. I wave it off to Romero with the universal translation. He's drunk, very drunk. Brett, locked onto Romero with her eyes, asks for introductions. I invite Romero and the critic to coffee with us. We shift to a bigger table. Mike orders a bottle of Fundador and glasses for everyone. The volume rises. Bill egg-checks me to tell Romero he thinks writing is lousy, and he's ashamed to be a writer. Drunk sincerity, the performative kind. Romero smiles politely. I introduce Bill as a writer. Romero looks impressed. I point out Cohn is a writer too. Romero says Bill resembles a matador, the Yalta. The critic doesn't see it. Mike keeps shouting his worst material. Romero catches pipe down and repeats it perfectly, meaning he understands more than I pretended. Brett and Romero start doing their own conversation. She in French, him in Spanish, with little bursts of English, both laughing. Bill keeps refilling glasses. Mike keeps trying to turn the night into a wreck. Then Montoya walks in. He starts to smile at me until he sees Romero holding a huge cognac, laughing between me and Brett, bare shoulders, at a table full of drunks. Montoya's expression shuts down. He doesn't even nod. He leaves. And that's the moment it becomes clear. I didn't just ignore his warning. I proved it. Mike stands to make a toast. I cut across him and make it to Romero before Mike can steer it into something humiliating. Everyone stands, we clink, we drink. Romero takes it seriously, shakes hands with everyone, then leaves with the critic. Brett watches him go and says bluntly how badly she wants him, down to imagining him squeezing into those green trousers. Mike complains I kept interrupting his Spanish. Brett snaps at him. The mood turns. Mike pivots back to his obsession, Cohn. He starts in again, loud, sloppy, cruel, telling Cohn he doesn't belong, asking why he's even here, dropping an openly anti-Semitic insult like it's clever. Cohn sits there, yellow-faced with humiliation. But there's something in him that almost enjoys the drama, the heroic suffering, the idea that this is his romantic battle for Brett. Mike starts close to tears, demanding Cohn leave. Cohn refuses. Mike moves to hit him. Cohn takes off his glasses and squares up, ready to fight for the story he's telling himself. I grab Mike and steer him out. No violence in the hotel. Mike agrees instantly, like it's an adventure. On the stairs, I look back. Cohn puts his glasses on again. Bill pours another drink. Brett stares straight ahead at nothing. Outside, the rain has paused. The moon tries to break through clouds. Wind keeps tearing at it. A military band plays while the crowd gathers to watch fire balloons, paper globes meant to rise and float, but the wind slams them sideways into buildings or drops them into people. Magnesium flares. Fireworks spit and chase between legs. People shout. No one dances. The gravel is too wet. Brett joins us with Bill. We watch the fireworks master fighting the wind, launching balloon after balloon that refuses to behave. The crowd heckles him. Eventually, we duck into a café, too loud, too packed. We step back out into the paseo under the arcade, where well-dressed English and Americans from Biarritz sit and stare with opera glasses like they're at a zoo. Mike decides he wants to go look at the English and festa them, translation, start trouble for sport. He and Bill peel off with a girlfriend of Bill's. Brett sits down in a smaller bar with me, quiet enough to breathe. Cohn tries to sit with us. Brett shuts it down hard. If he's drunk, he should go to bed, not cling to her. He leaves. Brett asks if she was too rude, then admits she's sick of him, his sadness, his devotion, his inability to accept that it meant nothing. We talk about Mike, too, how hard it is on him, how he didn't need to be a swine about it. Brett says I wouldn't behave badly. I tell her I'd be just as big an ass as anyone, given the right opportunity. She tells me not to talk rot. She's shaken, nervous in a way I haven't seen before. She asks for a walk. We take one more drink because her nerves are shot. As we leave, Cohn is right there under the arcade, waiting. Brett notices. Poor devil, she says. But she also says she hates him and hates his suffering. We walk out of the lights, arm in arm, toward the fortifications. The street is wet and dark. Music bursts from wine shops as we pass. She doesn't want to go in. We climb up onto the stone wall. I spread a newspaper so she can sit. The plain is black. The mountains are visible now. Clouds skate across the moon in the wind. The river below is swollen and smooth, like ink. She tells me not to try to comfort her. She feels like hell. We cut through the park. It's dark under the trees. Then she asks the question that matters. Do I still love her? I say yes. She says that's the problem, because she's a goner. She's fallen hard for Romero. She's in love and it's ripping her apart. She says she can't stop herself. She says she's lost her self-respect. She says she can't just stay drunk forever. And she begs me, please, stay with her and get her through this. So I agree. And she tells me what she wants. Go find him. We go back into town. Romero is in a cafe with other bullfighters and critics, cigars lit, eyes sharp. We sit. Brett can't even look at him, but she knows he'll come over. He does. Polite, composed, careful. He asks permission to sit without saying it out loud. He keeps smoking, part authority, part armor. He's watching Brett closely, reading the air between them, trying not to misstep. We talk. He mentions another matador injured in Madrid. He shows his hand. Brett reads his fortune, playful, intimate. Romero jokes that he'll live forever and be rich. He asks if she sees bulls in his hand. She says thousands. He laughs, says they're worth 1,000 duros each. He slips into English, then says he shouldn't. Bullfighters aren't supposed to speak English yet. The crowd wouldn't like it. Brett tells him not to forget it yet. He agrees. She admires his hat. He promises to get her one tonight. I stand to go fetch the others and bring them back. Romero looks at me. One final wordless check. We understand each other, right? I do. Perfectly. Brett tells Romero to sit and teach her Spanish. I leave. The hard-eyed men at Romero's table watch me go like I've done something dirty. When I come back 20 minutes later, Brett and Romero are gone. Only the empty glasses remain. A waiter wipes the table clean like nothing happened. Chapter 17. Outside the bar Milano, I found Bill, Mike, and Edna. That was the girl's name. "We got tossed," Edna said. "By the police," Mike said. "There are some people in there who don't like me." "I've stopped 4 fights already," Edna said. "You two have to help me." Bill's face was flushed. "Go back in, Edna," he said. "Go on, dance with Mike." "This is stupid," Edna said. "It'll just turn into another scene." "Those Biarritz jerks," Bill said. "Come on," Mike said. "It's a bar. They don't get to claim the whole place." "Good old Mike," Bill said. "Some English swine show up, insult Mike, and try to wreck the fiesta." "They're so bloody," Mike said. "I hate the English." "They can't insult Mike," Bill said. "Mike's a great fellow. They can't insult Mike. I won't stand it. Who cares if he's broke?" His voice cracked. "Who cares?" Mike said. "I don't. Jake doesn't. Do you?" "No," Edna said. "Wait, are you broke?" "Of course I am," Mike said. "You don't care, do you, Bill?" Bill put his arm around Mike's shoulder. "I wish to hell I was broke," Bill said. "I'd show those bastards." "They're just English," Mike said. "What the English say never matters." "The filthy swine," Bill said. "I'm going to clean them out." "Bill," Edna said, looking at me, "please don't go back in. They're so dumb." "That's it," Mike said. "They're dumb. I knew that was the whole issue." "They can't say those things about Mike," Bill said. "Do you know them?" I asked Mike. "No, never seen them. They claim they know me." "I won't stand it," Bill said. "Come on," I said. "Let's go over to the Suiso." "They're Edna's friends from Biarritz," Bill said. "They're just stupid," Edna said. "One of them is Charlie Blackman from Chicago," Bill said. "I was never in Chicago," Mike said. Edna started laughing and couldn't stop. "Get me away from here," she said, "you bankrupts." "What even happened?" I asked Edna as we crossed the square to the Suiso. Bill had disappeared. "I don't know," Edna said. "Someone called the police to keep Mike out of the back room. Some people knew him in Cohn. What's the problem with Mike?" "He probably owes them money," I said. "That's usually what makes people bitter." In front of the ticket booths, 2 lines of people were already waiting, sitting on chairs, squatting on the ground, wrapped in blankets and newspaper. They were camping out for the window to open in the morning so they could buy bullfight tickets. The night was clearing, the moon was out. Some of them were asleep. At the Café Suiso, we just sat down and ordered fundador when Robert Cohn came up. "Where's Brett?" he asked. "I don't know." "She was with you." "She probably went to bed." "She didn't." "I don't know where she is." His face looked yellow under the light. He stayed standing. "Tell me where she is." "Sit down," I said. "I don't know." "The hell you don't." "Shut your mouth." "Tell me where Brett is." "I'm not telling you a damn thing." "You know where she is." "If I did, I still wouldn't tell you." "Oh, go to hell, Cohn," Mike called lazily from the table. "Brett ran off with the bullfighter. Honeymoon stuff." "Shut up." "Oh, go to hell," Mike said, still lazy. "Is that where she is?" Cohn asked me. "Go to hell." "She was with you. Is that where she is?" "Go to hell." "I'll make you tell me," he said, stepping toward me. "You damned pimp." I swung. He ducked. I saw his face slip sideways in the light. He hit me, and I dropped onto the pavement. As I tried to get up, he hit me twice more. I went backward under a table. I tried to rise and realized my legs weren't working. I knew I had to get up and hit him, but I couldn't. Mike hauled me up. Someone dumped a pitcher of water over my head. Mike had an arm around me, and suddenly I was in a chair. He was tugging my ears. "See," Mike said, "you were cold." "Where the hell were you?" "Oh, around." "He knocked Mike down too," Edna said. "He didn't knock me out," Mike said. "I just stayed down." "Does this happen every night at your fiestas?" Edna asked. "Wasn't that Mr. Cohn?" "I'm fine," I said. "My head's just wobbling." Waiters and a crowd stood around us. "Vaya," Mike said. "Move along. Go on." The waiters pushed people back. "It was kind of impressive," Edna said. "He must be a boxer." "He is." "I wish Bill had been here," Edna said. "I want to see Bill get knocked down too. I've always wanted to see him get knocked down. He's so big." "I was hoping Cohn would punch a waiter and get arrested," Mike said. "I'd love to see Mr. Robert Cohn in jail." "No," I said. "Oh, no," Edna said. "You don't mean that." "I do," Mike said. "I'm not one of those chaps who likes being knocked around. I don't even play games." He drank. "I never liked hunting either. Always the chance a horse falls on you. How are you, Jake?" "Fine." "You're nice," Edna said to Mike. "Are you really bankrupt?" "Spectacularly," Mike said. "I owe everyone. Don't you owe anyone money?" "Tons." "I owe everyone money," Mike said. "I borrowed 100 pesetas from Montoya tonight." "The hell you did," I said. "I'll pay him back," Mike said. "I always pay everything back." "That's why you're bankrupt," Edna said. I stood up. Their voices felt far away, like I was listening from the end of a long hallway. It all sounded like a bad stage play. "I'm going back to the hotel," I said. Then I heard them talking about me. "Is he okay?" Edna asked. "We should walk with him." "I'm fine," I said. "Don't. I'll see you later." I walked away from the café. They stayed at the table. I looked back at them and the empty tables. A waiter sat at one table with his head in his hands. Crossing the square toward the hotel, everything looked new and wrong, like it had been replaced overnight. The trees, the flagpoles, the front of the theater. I felt the way I once felt walking home after an out-of-town football game, carrying my bag, going up the street I'd known my whole life. And suddenly it all looked unfamiliar. Back then I'd been kicked in the head early in the game. This was the same feeling. My feet too far away, the sounds too far away, like I could hear my own steps from a distance. Going up the hotel stairs took forever. I had the sensation I was carrying my suitcase again. There was a light in the corridor. Bill came out and met me. "Listen," he said. "Go up and see Cohn. He's in a mess and he's asking for you." The hell with him. "Go on, go see him." I didn't want to climb another flight. "Why are you looking at me like that?" "I'm not looking at you. Go see Cohn. He's in bad shape." "You were drunk a minute ago," I said. "I'm drunk now," Bill said, "but go see him. He wants you." "All right," I said. It was just more stairs. I went up carrying my phantom suitcase, down the hall to Cohn's room, and knocked. "Who is it?" "Barnes." "Come in, Jake." I opened the door, walked in, and set down my suitcase. The room was dark. Cohn lay face down on the bed. "Hello, Jake." "Don't call me Jake." I stood by the door. What I wanted was a hot bath, deep hot water to sink into. "Where's the bathroom?" I asked. Cohn was crying, face down on the bed, crying. He wore a white polo shirt, the Princeton kind. "I'm sorry," he said. "Please forgive me." "Forgive you? Hell!" "Please forgive me." I didn't answer. "I was crazy. You have to understand." "Fine." I couldn't take it about Brett. "You called me a pimp." I didn't even care. I wanted the bath. I wanted the water. "I know. Please forget it. I was crazy." "Fine." He cried silently. His voice sounded wrong. He lay there in that white polo in the dark. "I'm leaving in the morning." He kept crying. I couldn't stand it about Brett. I've been through hell. When I met her down here, she treated me like a stranger. I couldn't take it. We were together in San Sebastian. You know that. I can't take it anymore. He stayed there on the bed. "Well," I said, "I'm going to take a bath." "You were the only friend I had," he said, "and I loved Brett so much." "Well," I said, "so long." "I guess it's no use," he said. "I guess it's all no damn use." "What?" "Everything. Please say you forgive me." "Sure," I said. "It's fine." I felt so terrible. I've been through such hell. Now everything's gone. "Well," I said, "so long. I have to go." He rolled over, sat up, then stood. "So long," he said. "You'll shake hands, won't you?" "Sure." We shook hands. In the dark, I couldn't really see his face. "Well," I said, "see you in the morning." "I'm leaving in the morning." "Right," I said. I went out. He stood in the doorway. "You okay, Jake?" he asked. "Oh, yes," I said. "I'm fine." I couldn't find the bathroom. Eventually I did. There was a deep stone tub. I turned the taps and nothing came. I sat on the edge. When I stood up to leave, I realized I'd taken off my shoes. I found them and carried them downstairs. I found my room, undressed, and went to bed. I woke with a headache and the bands going by in the street. I remembered I'd promised to take Edna to see the bulls run through the street into the ring. I dressed and went out into the cold, early morning. People crossed the square, hurrying toward the bull ring. The 2 lines of men at the ticket booths were still there, still waiting for sales at 7. I crossed to the café. The waiter told me my friends had been there and left. "How many?" I asked. "2 gentlemen and a lady." "Fine." Bill and Mike were with Edna. She'd been worried they'd pass out, so I was supposed to make sure she got there. I drank coffee and headed with the crowd toward the ring. I wasn't foggy now, just the headache. Everything looked sharp and clean, and the town smelled like early morning. The ground between the edge of town and the bull ring was mud. Crowds lined the fence leading to the ring. The outside balconies and the top of the bull ring were packed. I heard the rocket, the signal, and knew I wouldn't get inside in time, so I shoved up to the fence. The police cleared the runway between the fences, walking and trotting ahead into the ring. Then people started running. A drunk slipped and fell. 2 policemen grabbed him and threw him over the fence. The runners came faster. The crowd shouted. I pushed my head between the boards and saw the bulls just entering the long pen, gaining on the runners. Another drunk burst out from the fence waving a shirt, wanting to do cape work at the bulls. 2 policemen sprinted, grabbed him, 1 clubbed him. They slammed him flat against the fence as the last runners, and then the bulls thundered past. So many men ran ahead of the bulls that the mass thickened and slowed at the gate into the ring. The bulls came through together, heavy, mud-smeared, horns swinging. One surged ahead and caught a man in the back, lifting him. His arms stayed pinned to his sides. His head snapped back as the horn went in. The bull lifted him, then dropped him. The bull caught another runner, but he vanished into the crush. The crowd poured into the ring, bulls behind them. The red ring door slammed shut. The outside balcony crowd pressed inward. A shout, then another shout from inside, each one a bull charging into people. The man who'd been gored lay face down in the churned mud. People climbed the fence. I couldn't see him for the crowd. The shouts continued from inside the ring, and you could tell by how loud they were how bad it was. Then the rocket signaled the steers had pushed the bulls out of the ring into the corrals. I left the fence and walked back toward town. Back in town, I went to the café for a second coffee and buttered toast. Waiters swept and wiped. One took my order. "Anything happen at the Encierro?" "I didn't see all of it," I said. "One man was badly gored." "Where?" I showed with my hands, one on the small of my back, the other on my chest, where it looked like the horn must have come through. The waiter nodded, brushed crumbs with his cloth. "Badly gored," he said. "All for sport, all for pleasure." He returned with the long-spouted coffee and milk pots and poured them in twin streams into the cup. He nodded again. "Badly gored through the back," he said. "A big horn wound. All for fun. Just for fun. What do you think of that?" "I don't know." "That's it. All for fun. Fun, you understand." "You're not an aficionado?" "Me? Bulls," he said. "Animals. Brute animals." He stood, put his hand on the small of his back. Right through the back. A horn wound right through. For fun. He walked off with the pots. 2 men passed outside. The waiter shouted to them. They looked grave. One shook his head. "Muerto," he called. "Dead." The waiter nodded and came back to my table. "You hear? Dead. With a horn through him. All for morning fun." "It's bad." "Not for me," he said. "No fun in that for me." Later we learned the dead man was Vicente Girones from near Tafalla. The next day the paper said he was 28, with a farm, a wife, and 2 children. He'd kept coming to the fiesta every year after he married. His wife came in from Tafalla to be with the body. The day after, there was a service in San Fermin's chapel. Members of his Tafalla Dancing and Drinking Society carried the coffin to the station. Drums marched ahead, fifes played, and behind the coffin walked the widow and the 2 children. Behind them marched the societies from Pamplona, Estella, Tafalla, and Sangüesa, who stayed for the funeral. The coffin went into the baggage car. The widow and children rode together in an open third-class carriage. The train jerked, then ran smooth down off the plateau, out into the grain fields blowing in the wind toward Tafalla. The bull that killed Vicente Girones was named Boca Negra, number 118 from the Sanchez Taberno breeding ranch, and Pedro Romero killed him as the 3rd bull that afternoon. The crowd gave Romero the bull's ear. Romero gave it to Brett. She wrapped it in one of my handkerchiefs, and later left the ear and the handkerchief, along with a pile of Marathi cigarette stubs, shoved deep in the bedside table drawer in her room at the Hotel Montoya in Pamplona. Back at the hotel, the night watchman sat on a bench inside the door, exhausted. He stood when I came in. 3 waitresses came in laughing. They'd been at the morning show. I followed them upstairs and went into my room. I took off my shoes and lay on the bed. The balcony window was open. Sunlight filled the room. I wasn't sleepy. I'd gone to bed around 4 and the bands woke me at 6. My jaw hurt on both sides. I felt it with my fingers. That damn Cohn. He should have hit someone the first time he got insulted, then left. He was so sure Brett loved him. He thought love would fix everything. Someone knocked. "Come in." It was Bill and Mike. They sat on the bed. "Some encierro," Bill said. "Some encierro." "Weren't you there?" Mike asked. "Have Bill ring for beer." "What a morning," Bill said, wiping his face. "My God, what a morning. And here's Jake, the human punching bag." "What happened inside?" I asked. "Good God," Bill said. "What happened, Mike?" "There were bulls coming in," Mike said. "Right in front of them was the crowd, and some chap tripped and brought the whole lot down." "And the bulls came right over them," Bill said. "I heard them yell." "That was Edna," Bill said. "Chaps kept running out waving shirts. One bull went along the barrier and hooked everyone over. They took about 20 to the infirmary," Mike said. "What a morning," Bill said. "The police kept arresting chaps trying to go commit suicide with the bulls. The steers got them out in the end," Mike said. "It took about an hour." "It was 15 minutes, Mike said. "Oh, go to hell," Bill said. "You've been in the war. It was 2.5 hours for me." "Where's that beer?" Mike said. "What'd you do with Edna?" I asked. "We took her home," Bill said. "She went to bed." "How'd she like it?" "Loved it. We told her it was like that every morning." "She was impressed," Mike said. "She wanted us to go down in the ring too," Bill said. "She likes action." "I told her it wouldn't be fair to my creditors," Mike said. "What a morning," Bill said. "And what a night." "How's your jaw, Jake?" Mike asked. "Sore," I said. Bill laughed. "Why didn't you hit him with a chair?" "You talk," Mike said. "He'd have knocked you out too. I never even saw him hit me. One moment I was there, then suddenly I was sitting in the street, and Jake was under a table." "Where'd he go after?" I asked. "Here she is," Mike said. "Here's the beautiful lady with the beer." The chambermaid put down the tray with bottles and glasses. "Now bring 3 more," Mike said. "Where did Cohn go after he hit me?" I asked Bill. "Don't you know?" Mike said, opening a bottle carefully, pouring close to the glass. "Really?" Bill said. "He went up and found Brett with the bullfighter in the bullfighter's room," Mike said. "And then he beat the poor kid half to death." "No." "Yes." "What a night," Bill said. "He nearly killed him," Mike said. "Then he tried to take Brett away. Make an honest woman of her, I suppose. Very touching. He drank. He's an ass." "What happened?" I asked. "Brett tore into him," Mike said. "Told him off. She was good, actually." "I'll bet," Bill said. "Then Cohn cried and wanted to shake hands with the bullfighter. Wanted to shake Brett's hand, too." "I know," I said. "He shook mine." "Did he?" Mike said. "Well, they weren't having it. The bullfighter didn't talk much, just kept trying to stand up and kept getting knocked down again. Cohn couldn't knock him out. Brett said it was almost funny." "Where'd you hear all this?" "Brett. I saw her this morning." "What finally happened?" "The bullfighter was sitting on the bed," Mike said. "He'd been knocked down about 15 times and still wanted more. Brett held him down. He was weak, but she couldn't keep him. He got up. Then Cohn said he wouldn't hit him again, said it would be wrong. So the bullfighter staggered over. Cohn backed to the wall. "So you won't hit me?" "No," Cohn says. "I'd be ashamed." So the bullfighter hit him as hard as he could in the face and sat down on the floor. He couldn't get up. Cohn tried to pick him up, carry him to bed. The bullfighter told him if he touched him, he'd kill him, and he'd kill him this morning if Cohn wasn't out of town. "That's quite a kid," Bill said. "He ruined Cohn," Mike said. "Cohn's not going to feel like punching people anymore." "When did you see Brett?" "This morning. She came in to grab some things. She's looking after Romero." He poured another beer. "She's upset," Mike said, "but she loves taking care of people. That's how she and I started. She was looking after me." "I know," I said. "I'm pretty drunk," Mike said. "I think I'll stay pretty drunk. It's all entertaining, but it's not pleasant, not for me." He finished his beer. "I gave Brett hell," he said. "Told her if she goes around with men who bring trouble, she can expect trouble." He leaned forward. "Jake, mind if I drink your bottle? She'll get you another." "Please," I said. "I wasn't drinking it." Mike started opening it. "Mind opening it?" I pressed the wire fastener and poured. "You know," he said, "Brett was good. She's always good. I gave her a brutal lecture, and you know what she said? 'Yes, I've had such a wonderfully happy life with the British aristocracy.'" He drank. "That was good," he said. "Ashley, the guy she got the title from, was a sailor, 9th Baronet. When he came home, he wouldn't sleep in a bed, made Brett sleep on the floor. Later, when he got worse, he'd tell her he'd kill her. Slept with a loaded service revolver. She used to take the bullets out after he fell asleep. She hasn't had some perfect life, Brett. Shame, too. She actually enjoys things." He stood. His hands shook. "I'm going to my room. Try to get some sleep." He smiled. "These fiestas are murder without sleep. I'm starting now. No sleep makes you jumpy." "See you at noon at the Aruña," Bill said. Mike went out. We heard him next door. He rang. The chambermaid knocked. "Bring me 6 bottles of beer and a bottle of Fundador," Mike told her. "Si, señorito." "I'm going to bed," Bill said. Poor Mike. I had a hell of a row over him last night. "Where, Milano?" I asked. "Yes," Bill said. "A fellow there had helped pay Brett and Mike out of Cohn once. He was nasty." "I know the story," I said. "I didn't," Bill said. "Nobody has a right to say things about Mike. That's what makes it so ugly." "They shouldn't have any right," Bill said. "I wish to hell they didn't. I'm going to bed." "Was anyone killed in the ring?" "I don't think so, just badly hurt." "A man was killed outside in the runway." "Was there?" Bill said. Chapter 18. By noon we were all back at the café. It was jammed. We ate shrimp and drank beer while the town swelled tighter and tighter. Every street felt packed to the seams. Big cars kept rolling in from Biarritz and San Sebastian, parking around the square like they owned it. Tourist cars showed up too. One had about 25 English women sitting high in a big white car, peering through binoculars at the fiesta like it was wildlife. The fiesta itself was one continuous mass. No gaps, no breathing room. But the tourists formed little pockets of spectators. Then, as soon as they stepped out of their cars, the crowd swallowed them. After a few minutes, you only noticed them again by their odd sport clothes at a table squeezed between peasants in black work smocks. Music never stopped. Drums hammered. Pipes squealed. Inside the cafes, men gripped tables or each other's shoulders and sang in those rough, loud voices that don't care if you're listening. Bill leaned in. "Here comes Brett." I looked up and saw her pushing through the crowd with her head high, walking like the whole city had built the party for her, and she was enjoying the tribute. "Hello, you boys," she said. "I'm dying of thirst." Bill waved the waiter over. "Bring her a big beer." Brett glanced at us. "Cohn gone?" "Yeah," Bill said. "He hired a car." The beer arrived. Brett lifted the heavy mug and her hand trembled. She noticed, smiled like she'd caught herself being human, and took a long drink anyway. "Good beer," she said. I was watching Mike, though. I didn't think he'd slept. He'd probably been drinking non-stop, but he was still holding it together. Barely. "I heard Cohn hurt you, Jake," Brett said. "He didn't hurt me," I said. "He knocked me out, that's about it." Brett's face tightened. "He hurt Pedro Romero, badly." "How is he?" "He'll live," she said, "but he won't leave the room." "Is he going to fight?" "Oh, yes," she said. "I'm going with you this afternoon if you don't mind." Mike finally chimed in, but not in a helpful way. "So how's your boyfriend?" he said, loud enough for the square. "Brett's got herself a bullfighter now. Before that she had a Jew named Cohn, but that didn't work out." Brett stood up fast, her chair scraping. "I'm not listening to that garbage from you, Michael." Mike kept going. Brett looked at me. "Walk with me. I need to talk." As we crossed the square, she said quietly, "I'm not seeing him again until the fight. His people come in to dress him. They're furious about me." And she was glowing, not pretending, not performing, just lit from the inside. The sun was out, the streets were bright, and she looked like she'd been changed by it. "I feel different," she said. "You have no idea." "Want me to do anything?" "Just go with me," she said. "That's all." She wasn't eating with us. She was eating with him. We stopped under the arcade outside the hotel. Men were carrying tables out, setting them up for lunch. "Want to walk to the park?" she asked. "I don't want to go upstairs yet. I think he's sleeping." We wandered through the fare booths and out toward the Paseo. The fashionable crowd was doing their slow turn in the park, dressed up and watching each other. Brett made a face. "Let's not go there," she said. "I don't want people staring right now." The air felt warm and clean after the rain. "I hope the wind dies down," she said. "It's bad for him." She pointed at the chapel wall. "That San Fermin's?" "Yeah." "Let's go in," she said. "I'd like to pray for him," or something like that. Inside was dark and crowded with people praying. We knelt. After a minute, Brett went rigid beside me. She stared ahead like something had grabbed her. "Let's go," she whispered. "This place makes me nervous." Outside again, she looked up at the moving treetops. "I don't know why church gets to me," she said. "It never helps." Then, like she needed to convince herself, she added, "I'm not worried about him. I'm just happy." Before we split, she said, "Please look after Mike. Don't let him get too far gone." The hotel's German maitre d' popped up, always listening, always hovering. "Your friends have gone upstairs," he said. Brett turned to him with a smile that had teeth. "Thank you. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?" He backed off. Brett went down the hall and straight into Romero's room without knocking, just opened the door and disappeared. I knocked on Mike's door. No answer. I tried it, unlocked. The room looked like a small disaster. Bags open, clothes everywhere, empty bottles by the bed. Mike lay there like a wax copy of himself. He opened his eyes slowly. "Hello, Jake," he said carefully. "I'm getting a little sleep. I've wanted a little sleep for a long time." I tried to cover him. "No," he said, "I'm warm. Don't go. I haven't had 10 to sleep yet." Then, like a broken record, "Brett's got a bullfighter, but her Jew has gone away." I told him to sleep and left. Bill was in my room reading. "Let's eat," he said. "I'm not eating downstairs with that German creep," Bill said. "Let's go out." We ate in a smoky little place off the square. Just men, wine, shouting, singing. Good food, good wine, no real conversation. Afterward, we went back to the café and watched the crowd tighten again, like the whole fiesta was coming to a final boil. Brett showed up after lunch. She said Mike was asleep. Then the crowd surged toward the bull ring. Brett sat between Bill and me at ringside. She watched the setup like she was studying a craft. The capes, the swords, the muletas, blood-stained, folded tight, handled like tools. She was absorbed. "His name is stenciled on everything," she said. "Do they ever wash these?" "I doubt it," I said. "Would probably ruin the color." "Funny," she said, "how you don't mind the blood." The matador stood waiting by the gate. Brett borrowed the binoculars. I looked through them and saw Romero centered between the others. Black suit, hat low, face bad. When the president arrived, the parade began. The crowd clapped, the music started, and the procession marched out. Romero came to the barrera below us. He handed off his cape. He didn't look up. Then we saw his face clearly. Lips swollen, both eyes bruised, cheeks marked and puffed. His sword handler came over and handed Brett Romero's formal cape. "Don't spread it out," a man beside us warned. "Fold it and keep it in your lap." Brett folded it carefully. Romero poured water over his cape and scuffed sand into the bottom folds. "What's that for?" Brett asked. "To weigh it down," I said, "for the wind." Belmonte fought first and did well, but the crowd wanted legend, not well. They wanted tragedy. They wanted danger. They wanted the myth they'd paid for. When they didn't get it, they turned on him. Shouts, insults, then bread and cushions thrown from the stands. Belmonte took it with contempt, pain written all over his face, and kept going. And because the crowd turned against Belmonte, they turned toward Romero. Romero walked out and the applause started before he even did anything. Belmonte watched him without obviously watching. Marcial barely mattered. Romero was the real thing. Romero's first bull couldn't see well. The crowd demanded the bull be changed. The president refused. Romero adjusted, quietly, perfectly. It wasn't flashy. It was hard, precise work. He had to pull the bull toward his body first, then shift the charge to the cloth at the last instant. People behind us muttered that he looked afraid. They didn't understand what they were watching. When Romero killed that bull, he did it cleanly. Then the second bull came out, the one that had killed a man in the morning run. Romero's face looked wrecked, but the more he worked, the more he seemed to erase the beating. Not physically, but inside. The fight with Cohn hadn't broken him. It had just bruised him. Now he was burning it off with skill. This bull was strong and fast and armed, exactly what Romero wanted. And Romero gave the crowd a clinic. Pass after pass, connected, complete, slow, controlled. No tricks, no cheap drama, just mastery. It made something in your chest ache because it was beautiful and because it was close. When he finally killed, he did it the way he wanted, standing firm, letting the bull commit, then becoming one with it for a split second. The sword went in high. The bull tried to move, then folded and went down. His brother finished the bull with a knife. The president waved the handkerchief. The crowd exploded. The ear was cut and brought to Romero. Romero ran toward our section and leaned against the barrera. He handed the ear to Brett. They smiled at each other. "You liked it?" he called. Brett didn't answer. She just held the ear and looked at him. "Don't get bloody," Romero said, grinning. Then the crowd surged him, lifted him, tried to carry him out. He fought it, sore and stiff, apologizing with his eyes as they dragged him away anyway. We went back to the hotel. Brett went upstairs. Bill and I ate eggs and drank beer. Del Monte came down in street clothes, tough, silent men around him, leaving on the evening train. He barely ate, just existed. Bill wanted an absinthe, so we went back out. It was getting cloudy again. Fireworks crews were setting up for the final night. The giants and dwarfs passed through the square. Bill said suddenly, "I feel sorry for Cohn." I didn't. To hell with Cohn. Bill kept poking at it anyway. We drank. The absinthe made things look better, but it didn't make me feel better. Bill called it a wonderful nightmare. I told him I'd believe anything, including nightmares. He kept buying absinthe like he could chemically bully me out of depression. It didn't work. Eventually, I stumbled back to the hotel. I was obliterated, drunker than I'd ever been. Brett's door was open. Mike was sitting on the bed with a bottle. "Jake," he said, "come in." He told me Brett had gone with Romero, left on the 7 o'clock train. She'd wanted to say goodbye. I didn't argue. I couldn't. I told him I was going to lie down. "Are you blind?" Mike asked. "Yeah," I said. "I'm blind." He waved me off like it was normal. "Then sleep, old Jake." Back in my room, the bed felt like it was floating away. I stared at the wall until the room stopped moving. Later, Bill and Mike came in to get me to eat. I pretended to be asleep. "He's asleep," Bill said. "Leavin'." "He's blind as a tick," Mike said, and they left. I got up, went out to the balcony, and watched the dancing below. The world wasn't spinning anymore. It was just sharp and bright, with the edges smearing a little. I washed up, fixed my hair, looked at myself in the mirror like I didn't recognize the person staring back. Then I went downstairs to the dining room. Bill lit up when he saw me. "There he is, good old Jake. I knew you wouldn't pass out." Mike grinned. "Hello, you old drunk." "I woke up hungry," I said. "Eat some soup," Bill said. We sat down to eat, and it felt like half the table was missing. Chapter 19. By morning it was finished. The fiesta was over. I woke around 9, showered, got dressed, and went downstairs. The square was empty, no crowds, no noise. A few kids were picking up leftover rocket sticks. The cafes were just opening. Waiters carried out white wicker chairs and set them neatly around marble tables beneath the arcade. Someone sprayed down the streets with a hose. I sat back in one of the chairs and waited. The waiter wasn't in a hurry. The paper notices announcing bull arrivals and special trains were still taped to the pillars. A waiter in a blue apron came out with a bucket and cloth and began tearing them down, scraping away the paper until the stone was clean. The fiesta was officially over. I drank a coffee. After a while, Bill walked across the square and sat down. "Well," he said, "that's that." "Yeah." "When are you heading out?" "Not sure. I might stick around another week. Thinking of San Sebastian." "I want to get back." "What's Mike doing?" Saint-Jean-de-Luz. "Let's hire a car," I said. "Go as far as Bayonne. You can catch a train tonight." "That works." We had lunch, paid, and left. Montoya didn't come near us. A maid brought the bill. The car was waiting outside. The driver strapped our bags on top, and we drove out of Pamplona, through side streets, under trees, down the hill, and away. It didn't feel like a long trip. Mike had a bottle of brandy. I barely touched it. We crossed the mountains, passed out of Spain, and rolled through green Basque country, wet and heavy with leaves. Eventually, we reached Bayonne. We dropped Bill's bags at the station. His train left at 7:10. "What about the car?" Bill asked. "To hell with the car," Mike said. "Let's keep it." "Where to?" "Biarritz," Mike said. "Let's have a drink." We parked outside a fancy place and sat at the bar. Whiskey and soda. "That round's mine," Mike said. We rolled dice. Bill lost first. Mike lost next and paid with a 100-franc note. The drinks were cheap. He tipped generously anyway. There was jazz playing in a side room. We drank again. Dice again. Mike ran out of money. "I'm broke," he said. "I've got 20 francs. Bill stiffened. I barely had enough to pay Montoya. "I'll live on credit," Mike said cheerfully. "Something will turn up." We had another drink. "Does Brett have any money?" Bill asked. "I doubt it," Mike said. "She gave me everything she had." That sat badly with me. "Well," Bill said, "let's drink." We drove along the coast. Green headlands, white villas, blue water pulled back with the tide. We passed through Saint-Jean-de-Luz, then farther villages. Behind us were the mountains we'd crossed days ago. At Mike's hotel, we stopped. He got out. "Goodbye, boys," he said. "Hell of a fiesta." We shook hands and drove on. We reached Bayonne just in time for Bill's train. I walked him to the gate. "So long," he said. "It was a great time." The train pulled out. The tracks emptied. I paid the driver, tipped him, and watched the car turn back toward Spain. That felt like the final break. At the hotel, I washed, changed, and went out. France felt calm, safe, predictable. I wished I'd gone to Paris, but Paris would have meant more noise, more drinking. San Sebastian would be quiet. I ate dinner alone, drank wine slowly, enjoyed it. After coffee, the waiter suggested a local liqueur made from mountain flowers. I declined and ordered something stronger. I tipped him generously. He liked me immediately. France was easy that way. The next morning, I left for San Sebastian. At the beach, the air was cool and clean. I swam, floated, let the water carry me. It felt good to be alone, to feel physical again, not emotional. Later, back at the hotel, the concierge handed me a telegram. "Could you come, Hotel Montana, Madrid?" And rather in trouble, Brett. Then another, same message. I booked a berth on the Sud Express. That ended San Sebastian. I wired Brett. Arriving tomorrow. Love, Jake. That seemed to cover it. The train ride passed through dry, harsh country. Madrid rose ahead, white and hard. At the Hotel Montana, a maid led me to Brett's room. She was in bed, brushing her hair. "Darling," she said. I held her. She trembled. "I've had such a hell of a time." She told me Romero had left, that she'd made him go, that he'd wanted to marry her, that she couldn't do that to him. "I'm not going to ruin a kid," she said. She cried without looking at me. "I'm going back to Mike." We left the hotel, checked into the Palace, and went to the bar. Martinis. We talked around things, carefully. "I like olives," I said. "You know," she said, "he was only 19. Later, over lunch, I drank heavily. She barely ate. We rode through Madrid in a taxi, pressed together. "Oh, Jake," she said, "we could have had such a good time." The car stopped suddenly. She leaned into me. "Yes," I said. "Isn't it pretty to think so?" That concludes The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. For more classic texts, literature, and writings, please like this video and subscribe to Translated Works.
This is Translated Works. Timeless texts brought into clear modern language.